All right, there we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Rant. I just noticed something. I got like a big divot in my mustache right here. What is that about? Is that a combing issue? Or is that, because I trimmed last night. Oh, man. Oh, that's going to bother me. It's going to bother me now. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Rant. Talk radio for normal people. Presented every day humbly by you. Servant. I just screwed up. I was going to say humble servant, but I said humble first, and now I'm all over the road. Hi, I'm Pugs Moran. Been doing this every day at noon since 2021. Couple of interruptions, brief ones, but, we always come back strong. What is this? It's talk radio for normal people. That's right. It's not talk radio that gives a shit about how you voted. I don't care. Hey, and you know what? The way I vote is none of your business. I always like to say it. There's a reason that people vote in private, so shut your mouth. Who cares? Stop it. There are important things for us to be discussing here, and that's what I try to do every day at noon. Talk radio for normal people. So what kind of important things, you might say? Well, we got a new conspiracy theory we're going to get into. Oh, yeah. I like this one. I like this one because I feel like I have expert level knowledge of one of the subjects. And we're going to break down the new conspiracy theory, which isn't new at all, actually. But it is taking, it's catching steam, gaining traction. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, everybody. It's gaining traction now. But again, I first heard of it like back in May. It is the conspiracy theory that Diddy is responsible for Jamie Foxx's stroke. Yeah, Diddy poisoned Jamie. So we'll get into that. Because it's going around and people, and all the stuff we know about Diddy now. It'll also give me an opportunity to talk a little bit about that new 50 Cent Diddy documentary series that's on Netflix, because I just watched that as well. Of course, because I am, as far as you guys know, the foremost authority on the Diddy trial, having hosted every single night of Diddy or Didn't He right here on the Radio Misfits programming network. Cool thing dropping January 1st. I want to mention this here at the outset because I found out about it yesterday, but James Parker has exec produced a documentary series, a podumentary. Is that a thing? Did I just invent something? Podumentary? That's got to be a thing, right? I couldn't have just stumbled onto that. I'm not that lucky. What was the one yesterday? What was the phrase I coined yesterday? Wife from another life. That's right. This is my wife from another life. Although maybe that's not even original. I don't know anymore. Point is this. It'll give me an opportunity to talk about the Diddy thing. Anyway, we'll get into that. We're also going to talk about former University of Michigan coach Sherrone Moore. He got himself in a bit of trouble. It's a crazy situation, and there are new details breaking all the time. And boy, oh boy, are the internet's a tizzy with all kinds of interesting things about what went on last night between the hours of 4 p.m. and I think 8:30 p.m. Of course, if you're unfamiliar, Sherrone Moore is the head coach of the University of Michigan football team, and he was fired yesterday. And I don't think the family took it well, and it spiraled. And there are some just incredible details coming out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, so we'll get into that as well. Also, another thing I want to talk about today, Andy Dick is also in the news again, and it's for the reasons that Andy Dick is in the news. Andy Dick has, he's got another hit viral video out. That's right. And, I saw this hit viral video that's going around, and I thought, boy, this is like one from a couple of months ago. So I went on the old YouTube and the Google search boxes, and I just looked for Andy Dick videos because I was looking for the one from a couple of months ago. Oh my God. Oh, the stuff that it returned. It's like this guy hasn't just had like 2 or 3 well-documented public breakdowns. This guy's got dozens of them. And folks, they go all the way back to the 90s. And I can validate some of those because I have a personal history with Andy Dick. And we'll get into why Andy Dick is the only person who was ever banned for life from WLUP, the Loop 97.9 in Chicago. That's right. I'll tell that story because I was at the epicenter of it. Andy Dick, banned for life. You are never coming to these studios again. I don't know that I've ever told that story. I think I must have. Anyway, we'll get into that. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Headlines, hot topics, crap like that that's going on. Let's see. Let's say hi to the chat room. Who do we have? We've got, starting off, at least as far as I see, we got my boy Adam. Hi, Adam. Adam says, let's see here. Adam says, first thing in, he says, they call them different categories: narrative podcast, documentary podcast, etc. Haven't heard a cute nickname. Okay. All right. So I go back like 25 years with Adam. I'm thinking, I'm trying to process right now. Does he mean that like snarky Adam, or is he being like helpful, totally cool Adam, who he also is much of the time? But let's be honest, in these settings, he's typically snarky Adam. They call them different. So is he saying, hey, because he uses cute nickname. So I think when he says, I haven't heard a cute nickname, he's saying my nickname of Podumentary is a cute nickname. So I'm going to take that as a victory. Adam and I are off to a great start. And he even sort of semi-validates that I may have come up with a unique idea by saying that he hasn't heard any cutesy nicknames. Thank you, Adam. Who else do we have here in the chat room today? Hold on. Mr. Popular. Oh, that was just CVS. That's just CVS telling me that I got a discount. I'm expecting an important call from somebody else, so I'll be checking that from time to time today. I do apologize. Let's see. Who else we got? We got Fast Outdoor. Fast Outdoor is here. He says, I liked the alien rant yesterday. Staying over with mom as I transitioned back to the frozen tundra of the Great North. And my mom last night in the kitchen, she's like, I like the alien stuff, and you could go do the Art Bell thing. And then, I have to have one of the long, boring conversations that I've had with countless people over the years. When I explain that, Art Bell is not ever going to be an Art Bell again because people just don't listen to radio. And my heart wants to do late night, middle of the night, nowhere radio. And that's just not a thing that's ever going to happen for me, Mom. And we cried and then we prayed, and none of that is true. No, but my mom said that too. My mom was like, yeah, that Art Bell stuff, that's interesting. People like it. Problem is that, maybe if I'd gotten through the door on the whole alien thing about 20 years ago, I'd be okay now, but hey, I got more stripes. Seriously, if anybody's going to have it, I got more actual alien stripes. I was abducted. Y'all can choose to accept that any way you want. You can be like, Pugs doing the abduction thing again. Oh man, he's married to that bit. He's just gonna, or you can just, take it for what it's worth. I believe I was abducted. I believe I have alien DNA. I believe they injected something in me. Oh man, Pugs, he's being crazy. Where am I? See, you don't know because people are complicated. All right. Thank you, Fast Outdoor Science. I love that topic. I love the topic of aliens and all that kind of stuff. So sports bras are here. Sports bras, one of the fine locally produced offerings in the arena of sports talk that DFW offers the global world of digital consumers. Sports bras says we are live. All right. Let's see what else. We got Barney here. We got Byron here. We got all the regular boys here. Let's see. Anybody new? Anybody new? I think we're giving First Through the Door award to Kevin, KB Artist. Hey, Kev, yesterday I think I outed you as a thief, as a thief from Main Street. We were talking, there was a subject, and I don't know if you were listening or not, but there was a subject that we did yesterday about why rich people, why wealthy people are more likely to steal or try to steal from self-checkout lines in grocery stores. And I offered my explanation of it. It's because they don't fear getting in trouble. Because wealthy people know that the system is aligned for, if you can hire a good lawyer, man, then get anything knocked down and you'll be fine. But if you can't hire, the system is also, if you can't hire a good lawyer, these folks on the other side, like they say in the NFL, the prosecutors and the DAs, they're professionals too, and they need some wins. So they get all the wins off us people who can't afford good attorneys. That's why rich people are afraid of stealing, and they want the thrill. They're like, mainly because rich people are evil. So here I go again. Am I being serious? There's Pugs just being Pugs. You got to listen every day. All right. Let's see here. Anything else? Okay, can we move on? All right. Barney wants to chime in. He says, I believe you believe it. Can take that. I can process that. I can read that any number of ways. I'm going to make a choice to process that as a positive comment from Barney. All right, here's what we're going to do today. How are we going to get things started here? Let me see. Anything else to mention? God, I got to close some of these windows. I apologize, guy. When my computer screen is open to 10 windows, it's a sloppier show. Do I need that? No, I don't think I need Radio Misfits YouTube page open right now. But maybe you do. Like, follow, and subscribe. Radio Misfits in all its forms. Please help us. As Maddie so wonderfully said in the chat room yesterday, Maddie Catania, what she said yesterday in the chat room, it helps the algorithm. And that's something that I don't do enough of. I don't understand that stuff. But Maddie does. And she's like, here's what you need to do. So please go to Radio Misfits. Like, follow, subscribe. Go to Pugs and Company, for that matter, on Facebook or on YouTube. Help the algorithm. You folks are the best. Okay. Let's see. Tonight, a little bit nervous. I got to go on the 108 from the 108. Another thing that y'all should be liking, and that's a personal favorite for me, because quite frankly, I don't think very many of you are really interested in like a bunch of neighborhood dudes in a hot tub in 20-degree weather talking about Chicago sports. That's probably not. That's what the 108 guys are. Well, at least they are on Sundays. They are so clever. They are really. I'm such fans of theirs. They are just dudes who, instead of having a bowling night a couple of years ago, they just decided that they would get together and record themselves talking about White Sox and going to White Sox games and sitting in section 108, which, as I explained, is a notoriously raucous but welcoming and very friendly to everybody. That's the vibe of these guys. These guys have. I compare them to Cirque du Soleil, if you guys are familiar with that vibe over in Dallas. And what vibe am I talking about? Funny? Yeah, real funny. But it's a fucking cool vibe. It's like everybody's welcome. It's friendly. It's not, hey, no fact checks. You know what I mean? It's none of that. It's just a good, hopeful crew of good-hearted, good-natured dudes who just want to have fun, right? But also, at the same time, and this applies for both the 108 and Cirque du Soleil guys, don't push that. Don't fuck with them. Like, don't take advantage of the fact that they're good dudes. Don't take advantage that they're dudes creating digital media on YouTube and stuff like that at the local level. And they ain't talking like Charlie Kirk, or they ain't talking like somebody who's trying to get y'all ginned up and mad and fucking pissed off. No, they're good people. And that's why I'm honored to be a part of tonight's From the 108 Festivus Extravaganza. Catch that over on YouTube, or follow them on Facebook and all that stuff. The same way you follow me and stuff. From the 108. And again, you don't have to listen, but help the algorithm. I think that's what we can do. Just help. And worst case scenario, they'll suddenly start popping up in your YouTube algorithm. It's okay. Just click a 30-second clip and laugh at them, because they are funny guys. They're funny, good, totally stereotypical neighborhood guys, which is why it works so well. All right. So that's tonight. I'm going to be on with them at 7 o'clock, and I'm very excited about that. It's their annual Festivus celebration, and they've got a star-studded cast of local and national people dropping by to air their grievances. So I'm someone that they asked, and I'm so flattered. So that's great. April says the 108 begins at 7 o'clock tonight. I don't know what I'm going to be on, though. I don't know. I'm not one of the important people, so I think I'm going to be an opener. I think I hope I'm not first, because I'd like somebody who's, done it before and familiar with it to go first, but I don't know. And I got to come up with grievances too. So if any of you guys, trust me, you guys know. Fuck, off the top of my head, I got grievances, right? Social credit. I'll just dip into my whole social credit rant. All of those are grievances about the way you people are behaving, which is, I think, the heart and soul of what Festivus and the Festivus celebration is all about. But if you guys got some grievances, some good ones, some funny ones, give them to me. I can tell you, I think one of them's going to be, why the hell is taboo porn so popular on Pornhub? That's one of my grievances. What is going on out there? What is happening? I'm an only child. I never had a stepdad. I never had the intermingled step family. That very well may be one of my grievances tonight. Turn signals, of course, but that's so basic, right? I know another one of my grievances that I'll be airing tonight, because this one is very important. It's not very important, but it's certainly something that pisses me off and irritates me every time I see it. Hold on, I wrote it down. Hold on. It's so important to me, I wrote it down. I had to write it down. Oh, yeah, okay, so I know what it is. In Illinois, we have legal weed, right? But if you walk into a place in Illinois and try and buy a bag of weed, I imagine it's something like, I don't know, buying illegal diamonds in West Africa. Is that where they sell illegal diamonds? I don't even know. But it's like, it's so militarized. It's like, we've got to scan an ID. And that's in a room that is just like, they put you in a room. When you walk into an Illinois dispensary, the first thing that you do, and I hope you Texas people appreciate this, because you don't have it yet. I say it's coming. Blue wave and legal weed. Here it comes. Anyway, when you walk into an Illinois dispensary, you walk into this room, and it's like, the drug dog, got a hit on your bag when you were getting off the plane from Cancun. They put you in this it's like a cinder block room. It's just white. And there is a well-armed SWAT team looking guy, but he's got no city or governmental affiliated patches. He's a private security guy, but he is like, former Mossad. And then he makes you scan. It's like, can't you just ask for my driver's license? Can I just show you my ID card? No, they got to put it into a machine so that there's now a list that I went into a dispensary that I am doing the illegal job. Come on. Then you walk to a door and they buzz you in. Seriously. It's like, have you ever seen Uncut Gems? It is like the movie Uncut Gems, and I'm just trying to buy a $20 bag of weed. Anyway, the demilitarization of the weed shop is something that really needs to happen. And if it doesn't, it's never going to catch on. Weed shops in Illinois should be like liquor stores. Why is it treated differently? Well, I'll tell you why. For one reason, I understand this. It's because it's not legal at the federal level. And because it's not legal at the federal level, that means that the banks can insure the holdings. The FDIC, the federal deposit. You know what this is. I don't need to tell you. But because marijuana and all money gained from marijuana at the federal level is not insured by the banks, in states where weed is legal, the businesses that are making millions and millions of dollars can't use the banks. The banks will not take that money. So what do they need to do? They hire former Mossad agents. Windy City, it used to be called Windy City something. I had a friend who worked over there, and I went to pick him up at closing time. And he said, "You want to see something crazy?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we went across the street and we parked and we were sitting in a gas station and we watched the process of them moving the day's money out of this Illinois dispensary for the night. Stored in some location, not a bank, I mean, that's a new industry here in Illinois. Can you securely store stacks and stacks of millions of dollars and not be a bank? And so how do you do that? You hire a bunch of Green Berets and Rangers and Mossad guys. So we sat across the street and we watched this armored car with two other cars, one in front and one behind, just load up all of this cash and then just drive off into the night. But those dudes in those two cars, they were like anti-terror experts. You know, they were like armed to the teeth. So that's how it has to be done in Illinois, I guess, right now. And that's answers my own question as to why it's not like a liquor store. But it could still be kind of like a liquor store. We don't need the whole security apparatus. Like, again, I'm going through an African airport, right? Where it's just like it's armed guys everywhere and dogs. I'm like, I hope that's not a drug sniffing dog. You're in a pot shop. Is that a drug sniffing? That poor dog is so confused. That dog doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing. All right. So anyway, plus all the other hot topics of the day. Let's see here. April has some info on Colorado dispensaries. Colorado dispensaries are the same with the room with the ID check. Yeah. I mean, they over-regulated it because, they wanted to placate the people who were like, it's evil. They wanted to, so like, no, we're going to take it real serious. So it's like super crazy. Too many hoops. Let's see. Adam has something to say. He says, 2 types of people I'll always fuck with, which is hood parlance for I'll be friends with. Oh, I get it. See, I fuck with that. Like, it's confusing the way the black kids talk, because then that's the way the white kids talk 6 months later. And I'm a white kid dad and I got to hear this stuff. But yeah, and that's fun. Like when they say fucks, it's a good thing. It means they like it. Yeah, I fucks with this hamburger. I'm like, yeah, okay, because I would think that you didn't like it. I don't know. It sounds like a negative. Is that like fat with a PH? I'm such a white guy. That's okay. It's okay. I got room for everybody in my universe. Let's see here. Let's get back to what Adam was saying. 2 types of people I'll always fuck with, which is hood parlance for I'll be friends with, are Philly sports fans and Chicago sports fans. They're the realest of the real. Well, I don't know. As a Chicago sports fan, I welcome what I interpret as kindness. That's how I got to go through. This is how, by the way, if you're, this is how I go through every post that I'm like triggered to respond to. Every post that I see on Twitter or something, I go through it with, okay, here's how I'm going to process this. Because, my days of going off half-cocked on Twitter, those are over. Those serves no purpose other than to, in the moment, vent my frustrations, feeding my ego. And in that moment, I shouldn't be feeding my ego with stupid shit, arguing with a stranger on Twitter. Man, you have no idea how much stuff I like. I write it out. You write it out, and my finger hovers over the post, and I just fucking delete that shit. I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need to be in this fight with this person. So yeah, that's how I'm going to process all of these comments now in the chat room. I'm going to decide in the moment, is that a shot or are we friends? Adam also says that they don't have armed security guard, but Wyatt Perp in Denton does that. Scans your ID and then lets you in. See, now some of you may be confused. Very few of you, because we don't have like a huge audience, but some. Why is Adam, who lives in Denton, Texas, why is he talking about walking into a dispensary and buying weed? That's confusing, right? Because weed is legal nationwide. They just call it something different. This is the hemp thing, right? So, yeah. So anyway, even at the old hemp store where you can buy your flavored vape juice and, some really nice buds, dude, there is a place on Lemon Avenue. It's not a sponsor or anything. It's just my boy, what's his name? Oh my God. We'll call him Homer. That's not his name. Oh man. What was his name? It's called Smokes and Edibles. Smokes and Edibles on Lemon Avenue, right around Wycliffe, Oh my God. Oh my God, you guys. It is the most incredible place for legal buds, legal flower. It is so awesome. Anyway, there you go. There's my little unsolicited commercial for Homer and the boys over there at, it's not a great name, Smokes and Edibles. Smokes and Edibles, Lemon and Wycliffe. Why can't I think of his name? It's not Homer. Cody. I don't know. It's like an all-American name. It's an all-American kid's name. Adam, they don't have armed security, but Wyatt Perp in Denton does that. They scan your ID and let you in. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate that. What do you say we get started with some talk? Some topics, some hot topics. All right, first and foremost, I guess, well, in my world anyway, this is the thing that I am most interested in. Did you see the oil tanker we seized? We got an oil tanker down there in Venezuela. How you guys doing on your Venezuelan hate? Are you ratcheted up yet? Do you hate the Venezuelan people now for absolutely no reason? Ones that don't need much of an explanation other than we were told that now we got to hate the fucking Venezuelan people? Got to send you have a 16-year-old? I do. Gonna have to send our kid off to war to fight the evil Venezuelans? So we've been doing this shit. We've been saber rattling against Venezuela. Do we just want their land? Is that what I know we want their oil. That's what's behind everything. So it was sold to us in the package of, we're going to stop the fentanyl because it's all coming from Venezuela, which I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I've heard people say it. I've heard people on the news say it, but I've also heard people go, that's not true. That's not even true. So over the past few months, we've been, we've been seeing some pretty cool displays of our huge defense budget in action. We've been blowing up a bunch of smuggler boats and bad guys, getting them bad guys. Whether or not, look, the conversation of, non-judicial execution is another conversation to have, and we're not having that here. But we have been ratcheting up this little interaction with the Venezuelan government. And it's supposedly about drugs. And it's about, we're going to stop the bad drugs from coming. We're going to blow up the boats. And, that gets kind of the rank and file American voter a little bit chesty. Like, yeah, okay. That sounds like all right, we got all these bombs. That sounds like a pretty good use for our, our shit. We're not going to go over there and give it to the Yukis anymore. Or, whatever. I don't know. It's justified in simple circles. But, so we're getting prepared, right? We're getting prepared to be like, against it. By the way, it's got to be mentioned. it's like we're about to go to war with Venezuela over drugs. And like a couple days later, the president pardoned a former Honduran president who was like in prison for like the rest of his life for being one of the world's biggest drug dealers. And in one fell swoop at the same time that we're saber rattling against Venezuela because they're shipping drugs, and the same time he's pardoning another Central American drug dictator billionaire. What the fuck is happening? See, because kids, it's not about the drugs. The drugs are how they sell it. The drugs, because we all have a cousin who's a fucking junkie. We all just saw that a couple weeks ago at Thanksgiving. Where's Marty going? Where did Marty go? We can all relate to the opioid problem and all that, forgetting that it's, not necessarily the problem or the cause of this is the traditional drug dealer. It's, more a big pharma problem. The opioid epidemic in America. But it's okay. That's, you got the big pharma. They donate money to politicians. You know who doesn't donate money to politicians who are running in congressional districts from coast to coast? Is Central American dictators. So let's focus our attention to the opioid crisis, which we all understand, to who the culprit is. Not over here. It's these guys. Because some celebrities did some bad coke and died of fentanyl, and now fentanyl and the opioid crisis is all fucking jumbled up, and nobody knows. Okay. The problem with the fentanyl, primarily, is that it has fucked up the elite coke trade. Okay? That's if we're being honest. The elite, rich people are now afraid to do cocaine in their fancy clubs. because the fentanyl has somehow seeped its way into all of it. I mean, it ain't just the poor kids and the college students who are now ODing on coke laced with fentanyl. It's Don Jr.'s buddies. So let's go get them. You know, that's probably not true, but that's a good conspiracy theory, isn't it? I think that's a good one. Let's get that one out there. But no, this is not about drugs at all. It's just about what we're willing to think is a good excuse for them to do whatever the fuck they want. What this is about is the Venezuelan oil reserves. That's what it's about. They got more oil than Saudi Arabia and China. They got shit tons of it, man. Venezuela is like oil. I think they're number one. They might not be. I think they're number one in something. What does that mean? Oil export. I think it's oil exports. I think they got a lot of oil. Okay. That's what this is about. This isn't about stopping your daughter from ODing on, bad fentanyl at college. No. It's about getting some of that fucking oil money for all the rich guys that have been, pumping up this administration and funding MAGA rallies and all of that stuff. That's what this is. So my kid's gonna go to war against Venezuela now because bunch of dudes in Texas who were super MAGA back when nobody else was needs to get their 10 pounds of flesh, and it's gonna come in the form of Venezuelan oil in the souls of our children. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So we stopped pretending the other day, and we seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Whatever. It's cool video, man. Somebody, and I'm sure somebody has, somebody needs to take the video of our supremely trained badass special forces taking this Venezuelan oil tanker. Somebody needs to set it to the Top Gun music. Because when I watch it, it's the only thing it's missing is it's just so fucking alpha awesome. Made me very alpha horny. How about you? All right, let's watch this video. You'll see what I'm talking about. Everybody, Byron, me, Jeff, bro. We're all going to get boners here in a second, guys, so don't mind us. Here we go. Let's see. And again, I don't think there's any sound on this. But it is pretty cool to see how we do this. All right, so here we go. Look at these guys. All right, these are American. Oh, look at them. I couldn't do that. Are any of these guys even close to my age, or are these guys all 25? You know what I mean? Oh, why isn't that working? Hold on. How do I pause? Why isn't this pausing? Why can't I pause? I don't know. It doesn't matter. All right, so these are what we're seeing here are images of American Special Forces troops boarding a Venezuelan oil tanker. And don't know why. Not entirely sure why. I mean, I know why. It's got oil. It's filled with oil. It's got all kinds of oil. And so Trump was asked yesterday what he's going to do with the oil. And he's like, I'm going to keep it. Of course. I mean, look, we risked these guys' lives trying to take it. I guess that's our oil now. Am I okay with the oil? No, I'm not. But this is at least they're doing it in plain sight. At least right now we see that this whole thing with Venezuela is about their oil reserves. And I don't know how much one oil tanker constitutes in the greater world of oil. Is that a lot? I mean, it's a lot. But how many gas stations could it fill up with, once it's changed into the good stuff? I don't know. I'd like to interview Tommy Norris right now from Landman. He could probably tell me all about Venezuelan oil and what that stuff's about. Anyway, here's Trump. He was talking about the tanker here. Oh, they're going to give us a commercial. Yeah, they're going to give us a commercial. So we're going to have to sit tight here. Well, maybe not. Hold on. I hate it. I'm pulling this video off Mediaite. And sometimes Mediaite gives me a commercial, and sometimes it doesn't give me a commercial. But every time it takes forever. Yeah, it's going to give me a commercial. All right. All right, here's Trump again answering a question from reporters in the Oval Office. There we go. All right. See, they're going to make us watch this commercial. That's all right. Look, it's fair trade-off. I don't care. You're good. What? Hey, now what happened? Sorry, guys. All this to hear Trump say something funny. Where am I? There I am. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try this again. I don't know why this is happening. All right, we're going to try this one more time. I'm sorry. I'm in a loop of pop-ups that I don't want to share with you guys. Look at this. Okay, let's get rid of that.
Physical presence.
There's like 15 billion passwords.
No, okay, that one's gone.
On the dark web right now as we speak.
Have a voice cloned.
Hold on. We got all day, guys. I'm in no hurry today. I just want to make sure we get all this stuff right. We're starting from scratch. You know what? This is why I prefer, when we show videos on here, I prefer to use YouTube, because any other site is always... They take control.
Aren't the guys
all right,
waiting
here we
to
go.
stick you up when you leave the ATM. They're doing it without any physical presence.
They're going to make us watch this commercial for a little bit.
15 billion passwords on the dark web right now as we speak.
They have a voice cloned daughter screaming in the background.
This is the golden age of scamming.
The new battlefield is online.
Oh, come on. You're not going to let me skip out of this? What the fudge? There.
Time to learn how to fight back. This is Control Room.
All right, great. Thank you.
It's unfortunate what happened. I mean, I know exactly what happened. It got it started a little bit, but we'll see if we can put it down.
We're interested in the seizure of this tanker. Well, what happens to the oil on that ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Well, we keep it, I guess. He guesses. I mean, he's just going to keep it. That's, he's like, well, we're just going to keep the oil that we seized in this. I mean, this is what pirates do. This is the problem, ironically, that we have with the Somalis, right? That's yesterday. He talked about shithole countries again. Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing back the greatest hits. I just yesterday, when talking about the new ramped up hoops that you must jump through if you'd like to come visit America from England or Germany or France or Italy or any of our friendly friend countries, all these new hoops. And yesterday, in talking about that, I said, remember when he used to call them shithole countries? Now he's messing with the Brits. Now he's messing with our cousins across the sea. Well, that very night, later on, he brought back shithole countries, and he's keeping. he's bringing back the greatest hits, and he's keeping the oil. I don't know. There's probably I am guessing, like international maritime laws. And, I'm sure The Hague has an opinion on seizing things that, this is not within the scope. Again, it goes back to the scope of what was sold to us was that we're going after these drug kingpins. And we were all like, yeah, okay, all right. I kind of get behind that theory, right? I can get behind that. Let's focus on taking out these drug kingpins. When I say take it out, I obviously am not a lawyer or an expert in the rules of war. So, I'm not advocating for any war crimes or anything like that. But yeah, if we're going to do a real serious look at these drug kingpins that seem to have been going unchecked for generations now in Central America, okay, I'm up for that. That's fine. But that's not what we're doing. That's what we bought. What we're doing is now we're going after oil, which is, it was a big problem for the MAGA group, the war for oil. That's always been a big far-right thing. We will not spill American blood for foreign oil. But now it seems to be what is pushing forward this whole us versus Venezuelan situation, which is oil. So, will it mean lower prices? I don't know, because lower prices isn't good for American oil companies, right? That's something else we learned from Landman. Tommy Norris goes on whole speeches about how oil needs to be kept between certain prices. So I don't know. I don't know what this is all about. But I have always caucused with the right wing on this when I stridently believe that the United States of America should never be involved in a war for oil. That's also something, interestingly enough, that the left agrees with. That's one of the things that we seem to have always been in lockstep. That none of us thought just simply starting a war over stealing another place's oil was a good idea. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening now. So I guess, if you're a principled person, you have to take a look at how you feel about what's going on right now. And maybe compare that to how you used to feel about the notion of going to war for oil. But I, again, as a father of a 16-year-old, big, strong, strapping American boy, I am not for the idea of going to war for anything less than defending our nation or ensuring that other nations who want what we have can grow. Because I'll tell you, the other people in the world, they ain't going around trying not to, well, for lack of a better word, colonize their ideology with places. That's why communism has taken hold in places that have extreme poverty. It's because Russia and China has spent the last 50 years going around to these countries trying to make sure that these countries buy into their worldview and their ideologies and their way of looking at things. So is that an important thing for we as the leaders of the West and really by default the leaders of the free world? Is that something that we should be concerned about? Yeah, we should be fucking involved in that. Or we can just be an island all the way over here and let everybody else, do whatever the fuck they want over there. I mean, if that's the world we want, that's fine. That's not the world I want. I'm Gen X. We won the Cold War. It's time to start fucking acting like it. We won. We won. Our ideology, Hollywood, Rambo movies, we fucking won. Okay, they didn't win. And now here we are 25 years later. We're fat. We're happy. We're still in the end zone going, hey, remember 25 years ago when we won that championship? Let's bring out the 1992 America. They just won the Cold War. Let's celebrate that. That's what we are now. We're fat. We're lazy. Fuck that. America's still the greatest country on earth, and we need to tell the entire world that, and we need to start winning people over to our way of seeing things. And our way of seeing things used to be that we didn't fucking steal oil from other countries just because it could fill our pockets. Barney asked the question, what else is worth fighting for? And I know that Barney's a very funny guy, and I know that Barney is just throwing that out, but what else is it? There's a lot worth fighting for. And I think I just laid it out for you. If you believe in the greatness of this country, if you believe this country was ever great, and I believe MAGA does, because again is at the end of it. Make America great again, right? So what era of Americanism are you talking about? Because if you're talking about the way we all think, the 1950s, the 1960s, we were all about spreading the message of America around the world back then. So let's get back to that. Okay. All right. Let's get back to that America. Not the segregated water fountains and shit like that. Nah, that America can stay in the past. But fine, let's get back to those ideals. Eisenhower. Let's get back to that. Kennedy's. Johnson, and then it all kind of fell apart. It all fell apart with Vietnam, and then, people started to question, what this American idea of freedom was, and was it really just conquest, and what are we doing? And it all fell apart. Started to erode itself, this idea of American exceptionalism, started to erode itself right around the 72, right? The Miami Convention is pretty much where we all went, yeah, this ain't the country of Jefferson and Monroe and Adams. But anyway, so we're going to take over Venezuela probably because we can. We won't take it over, but we'll get rid of this guy, and people will die. People on our side will die. There may even be some domestic terrorism. I don't know who we got to look out for. What kind of Venezuela? What's a Venezuelan? Do we have any famous Venezuelans? I always go back to the movie Wag the Dog, where they concocted a war. And then it was against Albania in Wag the Dog. And they're like, Albania, what do we know about Albania? And they're like, and they had a bunch of silly fun facts about Albania. And then they go, are there any celebrities from Albania? And they're like, Jim Belushi. And that's how they decided that Albania was okay. Because we go to war with Albania. If the biggest celebrity in America that's Albanian is Jim Belushi, we can fight that fight. But if Taylor Swift was Albanian, they'd be like, yeah, we're not going to war with Albania. Taylor Swift will make problems. Anyway, Wag the Dog, funny movie. And I think we're watching an administration in action who ranks Wag the Dog as one of their favorites. War with Venezuela coming. We're going to get some oil. We'll see if we get that 99 cents a gallon Make America Great Again promise. 99 cents, man. Are you guys open now? Of course you're not, because I'm the oldest fucking person in every room I'm in these days. That's why I hang out with my mom. I like to be the kid again. I remember when gas went from 99 cents to $1. It's probably around 79, maybe 79, maybe 78. I don't know, somewhere in there where gas flipped, because I vividly recall looking at those little gas signs as a kid in the back seat of the car, 99, 99, 99. And I wondered, as a little kid, what's going to happen when they have to add a 1? Because, I guess I was savvy enough to know that the price of gas went up and down. Probably because different signs had different numbers, but they were all somewhere around there. But yeah, I remember the first time I saw a $1, I was like, wow. And I don't think I, saw it organically. I think it was probably either my mom or my grandpa who were in the car. I was like, God damn it! $1 for a gallon of gas? Are you? I mean, that's probably why I remember it. But I do vividly recall 99 cents going to $1. Let's get that back. Is that going to happen with all this new Venezuelan oil? Oh shit, no. No, you know how many yachts and Lear jets would have to be given back if we were to get actual gas prices that were right around where gas prices should be? No, everybody's got to get their beak wet, people. That's what's happening. That's why gas prices are so inflated. Everybody's getting their beak wet. All right, war with Venezuela on the table. Let's go. He's bringing shithole countries back. Hey, wait, yeah, here it is. Let's see this. This is Trump. I told you yesterday. I said, remember when he used to call them shithole countries? And then a couple hours later, and he's doing greatest hits. Here we go. This is fun. This is, you know what? This is the Trump. This is Trump at his happiest. He's in front of a crowd. I mean, basically, I don't know if they pay for tickets or whatever, but he's in front of a crowd that adores him. He can tell really lame jokes, like really bad jokes that if he was in a room of 4 people and they were like lifelong friends, that they wouldn't land. But he tells like really bad jokes and the room goes nuts. Do you know how good that feels? Oh, he loves this. Anyway, here he is last night doing a greatest hits tour, I think, because he brought back the shithole countries rant.
We had a meeting. And I said, why is it we only take people from shithole countries?
Shithole countries!
Right? Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let's have a few. From Denmark.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Do you mind sending us just a few?
Hold on. Let me, I want to hear something again.
Right? Countries. Right? Take people from shithole countries. Right? Why can't...
Now, I was hoping it's like when your favorite band goes into one of their signature hits and the first couple of notes of the guitar, you're like, yeah, man, Stairway, like that. I thought when he said shithole country, there might be some recognition in the crowd of he's playing the hits, but no, we didn't get any of that.
We have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few.
He's doing shit off the Dark album.
Let's have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people, do you mind? But we always take people from Somalia, places that are
Somalia. You don't care. We elected Grandpa. You elected your Grandpa. What do you want from him? You think suddenly he's going to sound like, George Clooney, at some benefit? No, he's it's Somalia. Like, he knew that would land. Because, Somalia. Hey, I'm very confused because, again, I'm old. I still think that I'm supposed to have compassion for Somali people. Weren't they the kids with the flies? Remember from like the 80s and 90s? The distended bellies and, flies and shit? I mean, I can't really blame that kid for growing up and wanting to move to the Twin Cities. That sounds like motherfucking Oz to him. I remember me. Oh boy. Anyway, I don't want to riff on Somalia. Let's go back to the president.
Disaster, right? People from Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime. The only thing they're good at is going after ships.
The only thing they're good at is going after ships. That's, well, you know, I'm the captain now. They are. But that's even a reference from like 15, 20 years ago when Somali pirates were a thing. It's a good thing we fixed that, right? It's a good thing that like there are no more Somali pirates. It's good that piratry is now done in that part of the world because we were really wrapped up in it for a bit. And now it doesn't happen anymore. Or maybe it's just that they don't report it anymore. I don't know which it is, but I'm a big, dumb, stupid America living in the middle of this country, and that's good enough for me. We solved piratry in the African Sea. Is that a thing? There's no such thing as the African Sea, right? He's stupid. I am very stupid. So I too could be president of the United States.
We had a meeting, and I say, why is it we only take people from shithole countries? Right? Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let's have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people?
He's so clumsy. He's so clumsy. And he's clumsy because he's grandpa. And grandpas don't worry about, you know, whether or not they're clumsy or not. He's clumsy. We know what he's saying. But it sounds racist because it's coming out of his mouth. But we know what he's saying. What he's saying is, why do we always have to have poor people? Why are the people that come over here, why they always got to be poor? And they don't, but that's just what he sees. What he wants is, you know, people with college degrees. Look, I'm sure there are some people of color in Norway. I am sure. But we are now extrapolating from that man's inartful statement all of these racist things, which I'm certain are there. But I can't get myself worked up over it anymore. We know who he is. It's funny. He's not saying he only wants white people and no black people. Although, because he's so inartful, as I said, you can take that from it. And he is so inartful because he's grandpa. And grandpa don't care. Grandpa don't give a fuck about nothing. You know that. You've been around grandpa. What he's saying, what he's saying is, you know, like poor people. It's poor people. Oh, really? You're shocked by this? We've twice now elected a billionaire who for generations has represented, you know, the upper crust and the elite. And you're shocked now that he doesn't like white people or he doesn't like poor people. Of course he doesn't like poor people. He's a rich guy. All right, anyway, he's back, folks. I don't know. He's doing the greatest hits coming to a town near you. No, Barney's like, that was Ethiopia. Well, you are right. Really, Barney? Okay, Barney. That was Ethiopia, not Somalia. Like every fucking place over there isn't Wisconsin and Minnesota. Okay, it's all the fucking same, man. We draw arbitrary borders and they change every couple of years because we elect a new witch doctor, king of the land. People are nuts over there. That is like the most beautiful continent on God's green earth. And it's just like 200-300 years behind, seemingly. You know what they could have used? They could have used more American expansionist ideology over the years. Maybe that's it. Maybe if we had focused on, you know, these African nations in the 1960s, you know, introducing them to the Andy Griffith Show and Dick Van Dyke, instead of, you know, having that shit translated into Norwegian, which is what we did. You know, we didn't send people in the gross parts of the world any of the American imagery that we were inundating the rest of the world with. We didn't do that. We only did that to the paying customers. And so look at what's happened. People don't know what Baywatch is. They're running around now. They got nothing to eat. You know, they're finding these rocks in the ground that are like worth millions of dollars, and they're handing them to some white man in a Crocodile Dundee hat. It's blood diamonds. I don't know. I know I'm mixing all of my African metaphors. They're all walking around because they all got AIDS and Ebola. What's that about? How are we letting every bad disease? I've said this for years. Every like awful disease that came to my understanding. Like, there's another flu, there's another. They all seem to always come from Africa until recently. Recently, they seem to be coming from Asia. Good to see the Asian getting in on this. I don't know. I used to say we need to just build a giant wall around Africa. That was like me 25 years ago. And that's not racist. That's not like build a wall because, they got diseased monkeys. AIDS had come. Look, I made the statement back when AIDS had come from there, and it really fucked up my whole generation. Told you that. I got some real hardcore feelings about AIDS and the way that was forced on me as an impressionable teenager back in the day. I mean, AIDS wasn't forced on me, but like AIDS awareness and it's. I'm telling you, totally screwed up Generation X's sexual awakening. We had no whores. Nobody was a whore anymore. Everybody was a whore in the generation before us. Boomers, bunch of whores. Bunch of free-loving hippie whores. Disco, cocaine, nightclub whores. That's what the boomers were. And it comes to Gen X, and just as we start to get horny, they're like, sex will kill ya. And it completely fucked up our entire generation. Then the millennials come about. These little miracle babies, they're popping out 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time. Moms are all hopped up on whatever pharmaceutical there is that makes a puppy litter instead of a normal human birth. But hey, that's the millennials. They all came around. And there was 5 of them for every one Gen Xer. And we were mad because we were horny. Remember? Condoms. Okay, I guess they're still a good idea, but all the things that are on the table now, that were absolutely verboten back in my sexual awakening years. Lesbianism, getting the 2 hottest chicks in the high school to make out at a party because they're drunk, that was never on the table. That was not something that was ever going to happen back in 1986. Cut to the millennials, and that all changed. Millennials, they're like girls kissing girls. Suddenly they're taking ecstasy and having group sex. Why? Because the millennial sexual awakening happened to have coincided with Magic Johnson suddenly recovering from AIDS. The millennials grew up watching a guy who has AIDS dunking on Kobe in practice. So millennials were like, fuck it, I guess we just wear a condom and fuck anything in sight. And meanwhile, us Gen Xers are like, oh, fuck. So it was just a mistake that only affected our generation. What were we talking about? I don't know, but I'm ranting and we're having fun. So, I'm talking about AIDS, and it came from somewhere in Africa. And why it's not racist. I should probably double back to that because it's not about skin color. It's not about these people. Hey, if they can get out, want to drive a cab or an Uber for a couple of years while they're working their way through a local community college so that they can get a business degree and open up some kind of shop and build things and then have a next generation that inherits the wealth that they've accumulated. If they want to do, what's that called? The American dream. I'm all for it. I love that. I love the idea that the American dream is still alive and well. But I don't want any of their diseased monkeys sneaking out on cargo ships anymore, is my point. All right. Man, I'm jazzed up today. Too much? Am I too much, or is this okay? Because I really do feel like I am pushing your chat room. You guys got to be the barometer. Hey, my guy Tom Beller's in the chat room. That's Mama B's boy. Tom's one of my favorite people on the planet. Yeah, we were talking about who are some famous Venezuelans. I couldn't really name any, except the one that kept coming to mind for me is the one that Tom suggests. Tom says, Ozzie Guillen. That's right. Ozzie's a Venezuelan. There's like the baseball players, right? I think that's pretty much all. Here's a weird thing about Venezuela. So they got oil and we got that. And they're also, evil guys bringing us fentanyl and all that stuff. Okay, so we got all that. But that part of the world is really important to Major League Baseball and certainly important to any fans of Major League Baseball teams that may have a presence in Central and South America. But here's my question. Like, I know the Dominican Republic and Costa Rica and all that. I know that those are like meccas for you. Is Venezuela? I know Ozzie Guillen and probably a couple other, but I don't really. Oh, Big Papi, right? Big Papi's Venezuelan. Yeah, now Adam says they're out. So maybe I'm right, wrong on this. Maybe Adam's right. Adam says that, they're all baseball players if they're Venezuelan. But what I'm saying is, like, are there as many Major League Baseball players from Venezuela as there are from, say, the Dominican or Costa Rica and places like that? Because there are a lot of players. You know where there's not a lot of players in baseball from? Mexico. Right. Yeah, you racist. You just look at a Latino and you're like, that guy's from... No, it's always like they're from Puerto Rico or Cuba or the Dominican, or in the case of Ozzie in Venezuela. But Mexico does not have an outsized presence of, their national pride in Major League Baseball. Of course, Fernando Valenzuela, he's sort of the icon, I think, of Mexican baseball in America. April says David Ortiz is Dominican. Okay, not Venezuelan. I don't know. All right, let's keep going. We still got a lot of stuff to get to today. We still got to get into. We've only done the oil tanker. Oh my God. All right, so we're going to skip over the fact that China can destroy us. Yeah, it's a story I wanted to get into. All right, so here we are. So there was a top secret military document that was declassified and is being reported. It comes from just before the Biden administration left the White House. And it is an assessment of the United States and how we might stack up in a war against China over Taiwan. Let me tell you, it's not good for us. It is not good for us. This American let's see. China would destroy United States military and fight over Taiwan. Top secret document warns. Beijing's hypersonic missiles could sink U.S. aircraft carriers in minutes, which is a problem because we put all of our money and big defense budget dollars into these aircraft carriers and shit like that we don't need anymore. But there are congressmen in districts that have factories that build these obsolete airplanes and ships and all of this shit. And those people need jobs. And the only way this congressman is going to get reelected is if the jobs stay good in his district. And if, should the United States government decide that they want to stop making this plane or this bomb or this helicopter or boat that was, first created in 1978, that's a bit extreme. But what I'm saying is, we are in a system of spending our money so poorly. This is not in the report. This is just me. Yes, we have the largest defense budget in the world, but how are we spending it? Again, it's peaks in the trough, right? This is half of this defense budget that we are spending is really just going to pork and beaks and trough, and the other half of it is probably going towards bullshit. We've all seen the reports about deserts in the middle of New Mexico that are filled with airplanes, brand new, never flown airplanes, tanks, bombers, boats, everything. Why? Because those are no longer things that are needed by the United States military, but we still have governmental contracts to create them for the next 10 years. So they aren't actually going to be deployed or utilized in any way. They're just going to keep the folks in the, Alabama 3rd District employed for another Christmas while we stack battleships in the deserts. That is the inherent problem with our defense budget. And what this report is telling us is that because of that system of utilizing our defense dollars, China is going to kick our ass in any kind of modern mano-a-mano fight. And what they did was they created all these war games based on the equipment that we know that China has and what China will use and have at their disposal, because this is kind of a home game for them. We are the away team, so that has us at a disadvantage from the very beginning. But they did this war game, and they fucking synchronized this battle like 1,000,000 times. And like 99.9% of the times, China kicked our ass. Now, why did they kick our ass? They kicked our ass because of, most notably, hypersonic missiles. China apparently has this. Hypersonic missiles are something that we have as well here in the United States, but they're not like the major thing that we're working on. And there are some people, defense experts, who think that this kind of technology is exactly what we need to be working on, if for no other reason than it's the number one thing the Chinese are working on. See, they don't have to keep fat cats in local congressional districts in office by giving their district bullshit jobs and bullshit defense dollars. China doesn't have to do that. China can change. If if the American defense industry is like a battleship, and I'll use this metaphor, a battleship turns slowly, the Chinese have a similar apparatus, as far as, ability to spend on defense spending, except they're a fucking jet ski. They can just go, oh, wait, this technology will destroy an American battleship in a second, and there ain't a goddamn thing they can do to stop it. Yeah, let's make millions of those. And that's essentially what they're saying about any kind of engagement happening today in the South China Sea. Between us and China, they will kill us. They will kick our ass. Let's see here. But we don't need to go into that. And again, folks, I'm not saying they're going to kick our ass like, yeah, go China. I'm saying it as an angry American who understands that we have the capacity to produce the world's largest defense budget, but we seem to be using it stupidly. And what is my evidence of this? Well, we've all seen the deserts filled with battleships. Okay, enough of that. Instead of building and filling deserts with battleships, why don't we focus on real modern technology and shit that can help us keep pace with what China's doing? Because if we have to play them in a road game, it doesn't look good. All right. What else do we have? Oh, here's something. All right, I can applaud this. Let's get light, folks. You want to get light? Anybody got kids? Anybody got kids that are at the irritating age? Well, gee, Pugs, I don't know. How are you defining the irritating age? Well, all right. So here's when kids are at their most irritating. We'll go through the stages. They're the most difficult in the first year. First year, they're the most difficult. They're fussy. They cry. They wake you up in the middle of the night. You get no sleep. They're trying to figure out how to live a life, right? So that's a rough transition for a baby. That's the first year. Then between like 2 and I'm going to say 6, between 2 and 6, they're little terrors. They're like, oh my God, the terrible 2s. Nah, fuck that. They are at their best between 2 and 6. 2 and 6-year-old, that's what we sign up for. When we are parents, when we just want to start a family. We sign up for 2 and 6, between 2 and 6. Those kids are awesome. Okay, then at 6, what happens? Well, a slight change. It's not a drastic right turn where they become assholes right away, but right around, once they start entering school and start hearing things from other people and then repeating it, and then maybe that doesn't jive with what old dad thinks, and now we're arguing for the first time in our cohabitation. So that occurs like between 7 and 10, but 7 and 10, 7 and 11. 7 and 11, yeah, why not? Let's call it that. It rolls. Between 7 and 11, that's where they're starting to become conscious of the world. They're starting to form their own opinions, but still, you as dad or you as mom have an outsourced influence on how they see and process things. So they're still good. This is the point where, if you're a dad, he's your little buddy. He does everything with you and you're the coolest and all that. So that's good. But unlike 2 to 6, they are starting to have opinions, and from time to time, you might have to explain some shit to them. Then we get into like 12, 13, 14, 15, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're going to call that the next block. 12, 13, 14, 15. Fuck those kids. Those kids suck. That is not what we signed up for. I'll tell you what, in my case, this is where it became pretty clear that if this were to devolve into a fist fight on the lawn, I'm going to the emergency room. That's where that started to change in my kid, where I'm like, does that kid have fucking pecs? What is going on? Walk in on him. He's in the garage and he's lifting weights, and he's like, yeah, Dad, want to spot me? And I'm like, not really. No, I don't think I do. I don't need you to see this side of me. I don't need you to see how fucking weak your middle-aged dad is. So that's, you get into 12 to 15, I'm going to say. Now, why do I stop it there? They're assholes. That's the worst. They're teenagers. They're horny. They're figuring out that they can get away with shit. Between 12 and 15, they're like, oh, okay, I see how fucking mom works. I see a loophole in her logic that I can exploit for the next 50 years of my life. That's 12 to 16. At 16, I think things begin to change a little bit because there is an added responsibility of driving, and they've got to start checking a few boxes as far as am I growing up or am I still an asshole 13-year-old? So I think that's like, through college, I'd say that's pretty good. 16, 17, 18-year-old, 16, 17, 18. If you got a good one, those are good years. Okay. If you got a fucking shithead kid, dude, that's when they also go to jail, right? Or juvie or whatever, or steal a car for the first time. So, but that's a different thing. Then you just got a shithead kid. If you just got a normal kid and you're a parent, I think those are good ages. I think we're great right now. What my kid is, like my kid's coming for Christmas. He's 16 years old. He's gonna be 17. He's coming to Chicago for Christmas for the first time, not being a child. So like that opens up a whole bunch of other options for us and things that we can do and experiences that he can have. It's a good period of time. Then comes college, where they become assholes again. College, after about 19, let's say they go off to college, or let's say they just get in that age group where they're out of high school and now they're working full-time at Track Auto, or they're going to college, whatever your kid chooses to do, to start his own life experience is perfectly cool with me. But whatever it is, they're just problematic again. Like 19, 20, they got their own apartment. You can't tell me, I don't think I'm not living under your roof. It's where you find out that your kid smokes, right? That's the age group where you find out your kid smokes when they're like 20 and you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, I'm not 10 no more. I have no idea how this whole thing started. Oh yeah, I do, because kids suck. All right, so now let's get back to that troubling group that I put there, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, they are the absolute worst. Now comes this story. In-N-Out Burger. You like the In-N-Out? I like In-N-Out. Are there In-N-Outs in Chicago? I don't know if there's In-N-Outs. I like the 2 for $10, the 2 double cheeseburgers for $10. That's a good deal because those are good burgers. Those are good, thick. You get the meat. I mean, the meat plays the starring role in that hamburger, which is a problem with a lot of fast food hamburgers. A lot of fast food hamburgers, the meat isn't the star. Fucking the bun is the star, or lettuce is the star, and meat is just, like a quality co-star. No. In-N-Out Burger, those are real meat burgers, right? They're good. 2 for $10, it's a good deal. So In-N-Out made news yesterday, and I don't know if it's actual news, but it's brilliant marketing. It's brilliant marketing. Good for them. Good for In-N-Out. Terrific. In-N-Out announced that they would no longer, In-N-Out, when they're crowded, they do the numbers. Number 5, order 5, that, and you're like, I got order 5, and you come running up, excuse me, ma'am, where's the ketchup? And she points behind you. So they do that system where they call out numbers. In-N-Out announced yesterday that they would no longer be calling out the number 67. That's right. Let's let ABC News tell us all about this. ABC News reported on the big breaking fast food news, I guess. Hold on. I got to get rid of Adam. Oh, there we go. Boom. Boom. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's watch the In-N-Out story. This comes from ABC News.
The 6'7" trend that went viral in 2025. May finally be coming to an end. Well, at least at In-N-Out Burger. Employees say the West Coast burger chain has retired the number 6'7" from its ticket system following disruptions from teens and children swarming the restaurant to film employees announcing the order number.
All right, there you go. 6'7".
The 6'7" trend that went viral in 2025.
There we go. All right, so this is an 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old thing. 6'7". If you're a parent, my kid doesn't. It's not my kid thing, but I spent a lot of time back in Dallas around Amel's kid, Dom, the incredible Dom, the Dominator. And Dom was a 6'7" kid because, of course, he was at the irritating age, like 11, 12. He was a 6'7" kid. 6'7", everything. You're so 6'7", everything. 6. So I did have some sort of firsthand boots on the ground experience with dealing with a child who is playing the 6'7" game. What is the 6'7" game? And this is why it is, I believe, so brilliant. Some kid, I guess it's a kid. If you want to trace its origins, because you can trace its origins, but you can't explain its popularity or its application. but you can kind of trace it back. It either comes from an early 2000s hip hop song. That's one explanation. There's another one. There's a TikTok video of middle schoolers, because that's the age group that is so irritating. There is a TikTok video that went viral of middle schoolers at a basketball game, a middle school basketball game, or maybe it's a high school basketball game. But one of the players is introduced as being 6'7". And at that point in the TikTok video, some young man, some young attractive Justin Bieber looking kid, and I think that's very important to why this went viral. He turns to the camera and he goes 6'7", and that went viral. I think because 13-year-old girls thought the kid in the TikTok was cute, and so let's share. And how it grew from there, I don't know. Other than kids live on TikTok, and they probably just kept seeing these little blurbs of someone going 6'7", so they started saying it like him. And then fast forward 6 months later, every kid in America who's between the ages of 11 and 14 is running around going 6'7". Now, why? Why are they saying it? Because parents will undoubtedly have a response to that. What the fuck does that mean? And then the kids, their job is to just laugh and go, asking that is so 6'7", as they walk up the stairs to their room and their parents chasing them down going, what does it mean? And the kid is like, exactly 6'7", exactly. And then they go into their room and close the door. And the parent is like, what the fuck does that mean? All right, so it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Your response of being confused is the purpose of the kids using 6'7" in the way they do. It is a way for them to make you freak out. It is a way for them. They know that you're going to be, I want to connect with my child and find out what the latest lingo is. It's sort of a pushback on that kind of mentality by this group of kids, this particular generation of kids. Doesn't mean anything. But again, that's why I say we can chase back the origins, right? We can figure out where it comes from. And certainly the TikTok video of the kid at the basketball game seems to be ground zero. But then, people start going, no, there was, Philly Slim, a gangster rapper. He utilized the 6'7" term back. So whatever. But for our intents and purposes, and why In and Out is now canceling the number 6'7" off of their 67, that's because it's become this phenomena to fuck with grownups, to fuck with parents, to make them confused as to what this means. It doesn't mean anything. And to that end, why is In and Out doing it? Because as they explained in the piece there, kids, teens, or whatever in this age group were going to In and Outs, hanging out, waiting for the number 6'7" to be read off, and then making a TikTok video going 6'7". We saw a little bit of it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And what I love most about it is grown-ups' reactions to it. It's fucking stupid. This generation is so stupid. Oh, tell me you're old without telling me you're old. I applaud it. It's funny. It's trolling. It's trolling on a generational scale. It's funny. Doesn't mean anything. Just kind of go like, yeah, use it back on them. Use it back on them. Oh, and by the way, here's the deal too. I mean, it's done. It's done as a thing. Like you're 11, 12, 13, 14 is probably not doing it anymore. It's unless they're dorks. I mean, if your kid is still using it, sorry to inform you, your kid might be a dork. It's not a thing anymore. And it's not a thing anymore because ABC News is doing stories on it for grandma. It's not a thing anymore. It's over. It's so last year, but we're trying to catch up. And In and Out, again, kudos to In and Out. Great piece of marketing. Great idea for In and Out. They're like, let's put out a press release saying that we're no longer going to say 67, and then that'll go viral because it'll also play into the whole 6'7" thing. I mean, again, it's not at its peak, but it is terrific marketing for In and Out. Because when, you bring home In and Out for dinner, it ain't the 13-year-old who's picking up the tab, right? It's mom on her way home from work. Oh, you know what? Maybe In and Out would be good tonight. Oh, and I just, In and Out's on my radar because of that viral video of them canceling 6. It's brilliant marketing. It's terrific marketing. That's how it works. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. Let's talk about the big story. The big story in sports. Is there anything new? This is because I was following this morning. It's the story of Sherrone Moore. Sherrone Moore is the Sherrone Moore was the head coach at the University of Michigan. The Fighting Wolverines. No, I think it's just the Wolverines. Sherrone Moore was the head coach at the University of Michigan, which University of Michigan, to understand, there's like 124 college teams that are in the NCAA system. It's why you find yourself watching, 2:00 in the morning on ESPN, Chaminade Tech versus, East Oregon State Technical Institute, right? There are a lot of schools out there, a lot of colleges. University of Michigan is one of the big ones. There's probably about 10, and certainly in football. In college football, I would say that there are 10 elite top shelf teams, or not teams, because I think teams gives the teams makes you do, well, they're only ranked 20th this year. No, programs. Like there's 10 elite college football programs, and the University of Michigan is certainly among them. So when their head coach, after 2 years on the job, is fired via press release at 4:30 on a Tuesday while they're ramping up for a bowl game, I don't even know who they're playing. There's a story there. There's news here, and that's what happened with Sherrone Moore. He's only been the head coach at Michigan for 2 years. He's, of course, the guy that elevated to the position of head coach after Jim Harbaugh took the gig over there in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Sherrone Moore also first started coaching, if you remember, before Harbaugh left. Well, maybe you don't, but okay, so I'm going to go in the weeds a little bit here. College football the last couple of years. Jim Harbaugh, before he left to take the job with the professionals there in Los Angeles with the Chargers, he was suspended by the NCAA for a whole bunch of infractions, sign stealing and all kinds of weirdness. While he was suspended, Sherrone Moore was the guy that they elevated to head coach. And so later, in February or whatever in the offseason, when Jim Harbaugh finally did leave, Sherrone Moore was given the job, the head coaching job at the University of Michigan. I can promise you up to this point, the greatest fucking job this guy has ever had. Because let me tell you, the University of Michigan, if you can win a few games and if you can play the game properly, you can be coached there for 20 years. It's one of those kinds of institutions. And when they fire you, it's usually after an extended period of losing where they've lost the support of the boosters and they've lost the support of the Subway alumni or whatever you want to call them. Then they fire their coach. Okay, Lloyd Carr. Actually, I don't know. How long did Lloyd Carr last? I don't know. I don't think it was that bad, but we were certainly not at that stage with Sherrone Moore after only 2 years. So when we found out that he was fired, we're like, what's going on here? What is this about? Then we start to get some added information about Sherrone Moore. There's a timeline here that is just incredible. So, the press release from the University of Michigan yesterday at about 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time stated that the University of Michigan had parted ways with head football coach Sherrone Moore for cause. For cause means you don't get paid. For cause means that they don't have to pay off anything that's left on a contract. And he is the head coach of the University of Michigan. So I imagine there was a pretty sizable chunk of change that was left on his contract. But for cause means, nah, this fucker did some shit, man. And if he wants to try and take us to court and, demand that we pay, no, you don't know what this fucking guy did. But rest assured, we're out of the Sherrone Moore business here at the University of Michigan, and it's for cause. They then went into a little bit more explanation. What was first reported as an inappropriate relationship with a staffer has, been twisted and all that by the internet and all kinds of things. So I don't know what the details necessarily are about the inappropriate relationship with a staffer and what is a staffer. Is a staffer a grown woman? A grown woman who is hired to be the physical therapist for the team? Is that a staffer? Or is a staffer a fucking kid, a student who holds the clipboard and makes sure that Sherrone doesn't get tangled in the cord on the sidelines while he's running around like a madman? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what this staffer in question is, but I am certain that we're going to find out as this story progresses. So there you have it. So at 4:30, oh, trust me, we're not done. So at 4:30, the University of Michigan announced that they had parted ways with head coach Sherrone Moore. Now, here's what you have to know about this. If the press release went public at 4:30, they had a meeting with Sherrone Moore much earlier. I imagine first thing in the morning. This is not the kind of thing that you schedule for 11:30 before lunch. This is like, all right, let's get this over with first thing in the morning. So I imagine first thing in the morning, Sherrone Moore woke up, was called into the dean or the president of the university or whatever. Probably walked in. There was human resources and lawyers. He knew right away what was up. Now, he also knew that for the previous couple of weeks, he had been under a university investigation for this alleged inappropriate relationship. So anyway, there was a meeting here. So there was a meeting during the day, probably first thing, where he was fired. You don't put the press release out first and then have the meeting with the coach. No, they fired him and, they settled that situation. He walked to his car and went home. Now, it's what happened when he went home where everything starts to get really squirrely. Because anybody who's ever been fired before and had to go home and tell their wife or their other or their children that, okay, the gravy train's over, no more money coming in, I just got fired. It's a tense fucking day. It's not a good day. And add to this particular situation where Sherrone Moore has to go home and tell his wife that he's been fired from his multi-million-dollar a year job, this cushy spotlight job. I mean, do you know what kind of position in the community of Ann Arbor that the head football coach and his wife have? They don't wait for tables. I'll tell you that. They also probably don't pick up checks. So he's got to go home and he's got to tell his wife and their 3 children, their 3 daughters, that he's just been fired. Unceremoniously, he's been fired. And I'm sure that the wife's first question was, why? So now the situation where he has completely upended his entire family's immediate future and probably long-term future with this crazy investigation that didn't go his way, and now he's unemployed. Not only is he dealing with that, now he's got a wife going, you were cheating on me? You fucked up our whole family by cheating on me? So that little situation didn't go well. Turned into what's being described as a major but non-violent domestic disturbance between the newly fired Sherrone Moore and his wife. During this situation with his wife, I non-violent, apparently there was gunplay involved. Apparently he pulled a gun with his wife, did not aim it at his wife, but aimed it at himself and said that he was going to kill himself, right here. And then he ran out of the building. He ran out of the house. Okay, so we're following, right? Sherrone Moore wakes up. He's got a meeting with the president. He knows that for 2 weeks he's been under investigation for this inappropriate relationship with a staff or whatever that may mean. Gets in his car, drives in, sits there, gets fired. Holy fuck. I mean, his world is, there are crazy thoughts abounding. Now he's got to get in that car. He's got to drive all the way back home. And his wife's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing home at 10:30 in the morning? So that's where this incident occurred between Sherrone Moore and his wife. And we know this because she called the police at 12:15 p.m. lunchtime. Remember now, this hasn't been made public yet. The university will not make his firing public for another 4.5 hours. So at 12:30, Sherrone Moore's wife calls the police and she says, you got to help me. My husband, he's threatening to kill himself. He's got a gun and blah, 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 all that stuff. Terrible, terrible, scary, serious family stuff. So he gets into his car and he runs away from the house. Now he's got the police looking for him. Police are like, where is he? And this is not the police just looking for Rando Bob who lives in the center of the cul-de-sac. This is the University of Michigan and Ann Arbor Police Department looking for their head coach. They're looking for the biggest fucking celebrity in town. I mean, so long as the team doesn't have a Heisman Trophy contender. Yes, the head football coach is certainly one of the most high-profile dudes in town, and the police have an all-points bulletin out for him. They find his car at an apartment complex. And inside this apartment complex, he is apparently holding a staffer, this person has been described as. we've heard the word staffer used twice. Staffer, he lost his job for an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. He goes home, he tells his wife, that goes to shit. He gets in the car, he drives to an apartment. He drives to the apartment home of somebody who is being described as a staffer. Got into a fight with his wife, and after he ran from his wife, when he's done, I'm done with you. The first place he went to was apparently, I'm just connecting the dots, and I could be wrong, but this is the fog of early information. He drives over to the chick that he's having the inappropriate relationship with. Now, what do you think he's going to do in that? So he's going to drive over there and he's going to be like, baby, it's all public and you and I can now run off together and be in love. I mean, is it that? Or is it, bitch, I'm going to fucking kill you. You've destroyed my life. Right? So what is that? Well, it turns out that it seems to be more of that. Because the police were there. There was a slight standoff. Apparently, the staffer, the person inside, felt they were being held hostage and that there was a gun pointed. Here, let me give you the actual latest. I just saw a story that popped up. So here, we'll go into it. Anyway, that's the way it unfolded. He was taken into custody at approximately 4:20 p.m. At approximately 4:35 p.m., the University of Michigan made it public that they had fired him. So you see, it's a crazy day, man. Sherrone Moore had a crazy fucking day yesterday. Michigan's Sherrone Moore was acting strange before firing for inappropriate relationship and shocking arrest. Former Michigan coach Sherrone Moore has been acting strange prior to his stunning firing Wednesday for an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. College football reporter Pete Thamel said this situation had been percolating for the last few weeks. And we give you some pictures here, just so you can see this guy, because, I think it always makes for a little bit better. This is who we're talking about. This is Sherrone Moore, the head coach of the University of Michigan Wolverines. There he is. Okay. There we go. So we get a look at him. I think there's also, we can look at his family and stuff too. All right, we'll see. All right, so okay. There we go. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of an issue here with the internet connection. I hope it's all right with you guys. All right, here are the details. There was an initial investigation, this being reported by Pete Thamel of ESPN. There was an initial investigation that had calmed towards the end of the regular season, with Michigan last playing on November 29th in a 27-9 loss to rival Ohio State. So what Thamel's reporting from ESPN is that this had been sort of a season-long investigation that had been going on, and by the time they had got to the Michigan-Ohio State game a couple weeks ago, the furor over this investigation had calmed, at least to Pete Thamel's reporting. However, Thamel said it started boiling over again in the past week and resulted in what he described as a rare move by the University of Michigan. It is rare that you get a statement like the one that Michigan had, being as explicit as they are, saying it was an inappropriate relationship with a staff member that led to Sherrone Moore's firing, he noted. Oh, here, well, I'll show you Sherrone and his wife. This is the woman whose life he blew up. Let's take a look at her, right? There he is again. Oh, there she is. There's the lovely couple. Yeah. I'm sure she is not a happy wife. Although, she loves him. He's obviously going through some shit. It's easy for me to sit here from afar and be like, God, but she's fucking pissed. No, I bet she's got a whole bunch of complicated stuff going on in her head. And I would hope, because she's his wife, I would hope that the number one thing is, how is the mental stability of my father in this moment, or my husband in this moment. So maybe she's concerned. I shouldn't be so cavalier about that nonsense. All right. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I'm confused. Where am I? All right. There's the picture of the happy couple. All right. We got that now. Michigan's statement cited cause for firing Moore, which means that the Ann Arbor-based school will not have to pay Moore his buyout on his contract. CBS reported that several prominent donors to the University of Michigan had cooled on aiding the program while these allegations came to light, although it did not list when this cooling among the alumni had begun towards Moore. Moore went 18-8, spent. We don't care. We don't care about his record as a coach. We want the details here. Oh, here they are in happier times. There they are. Look at them. Aren't they happy? All right, I think that's it. There, look, he's they got a bowl game to play. He's going through some stuff. He didn't handle this cavalcade of terrible things that happened to him all at once. But again, that's the timeline. That's the weird day that Sherrone Moore had to survive yesterday. He woke up, had a meeting with the college president, got fired, went home, had to explain to his wife that he lost their multi-million-dollar job and lifestyle because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants. And we don't know. This is just me wondering. Probably a student, I'm thinking. I don't know. Gets into a huge fight with the wife where he claims that he's going to kill himself. He runs out of the house. She panic calls the police. My husband's going to kill himself. The police are chasing him. He ends up at the apartment of a staffer. Don't know if it's the same staffer that he's been accused of having an inappropriate relationship with. Don't know. But he gets into it with the staffer, and more gunplay is apparently being reported. He threatens to kill the staffer and himself. Finally, I guess the police and the SWAT team talk him out of it, and he's taken into custody at about 4:20 p.m. yesterday. 4:30 p.m. yesterday, University of Michigan announces to the world that they are no longer in the Sherrone Moore business. Crazy day, man. Look, you know me. I think college football coaches suck, except Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman is the exception. I think Marcus Freeman is a good man. We need more football coaches like Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman. He's a good man. But college football coaches, I think, for the most part, are pieces of absolute garbage. That's just me. All right, everybody. I need a pee break. Yeah, I do. You guys cool with that? Would you mind if I took like a little pee break? I need to go. I need to freshen my drink. I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to get some fresh ice cubes. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I'm going to come back in about a minute or two, okay? See, we've done, how long have we done? We've done an hour and a half. I got more to do. We got to get into the whole Andy Dick situation. We're going to learn. I don't know if this is going to be it's not a conversation about Andy Dick. Nobody wants to have a full-on conversation about Andy Dick. What we're going to do is we're going to get into the curse of celebrity and how some people just cannot handle it. And I'll share with you a couple of personal stories from my days running around with Andy Dick. And let me tell you, they weren't fun times. I'll also explain to you how Andy Dick became the only person, to my knowledge, the only person that was ever banned for life from the studios of 97.9 The Loop in Chicago. I'll tell that. Just give me a quick break, okay? Oh, and while you're at it, don't forget, folks, this show exists because of you. We need your tips. We need you guys to keep us afloat. We need to make X amount of dollars. Certainly this month is a very important month. I know it's Christmas, but stick a little something in my stocking, huh? How about that? You can participate by either going to the Venmo or the Cash App, and I would certainly appreciate it. Tomorrow I'll have a full list. Some nice people stepped up yesterday. Thank you to the folks yesterday. Tomorrow I'm going to make a list of all the names who helped this week because we're in a really important. I know it always sounds like that. All right, I'm going to go take a pee. You don't need to hear me shake my little tin can, especially when I know how fucked up everything is out there. I'm gonna go pee. All right, here we go. We're back. There we go. More show. Let's jump into the chat room. Let's see what's been discussed over the past few minutes while we've been talking about other things. Let me back it up. Sorry. All right. Byron says we were talking about the 6'7" trend that ain't cool anymore. So stop doing it. Don't think you're going to impress your little cousin at Christmas by going 6'7". They're going to roll their eyes and they're going to just be reinforced in their belief that you're fucking lame. So don't be that guy. Byron says the boys today have low testosterone, so they can't fully 69. See what he did there? April says that Michigan is playing Texas. Is that the bowl game that Michigan got? Yeah. All right, that'll be a good game. That'll be a good game. I'd go with Texas. I'd say Texas in that one. Just considering the chaos and the embarrassment and another scandal going on there at the University of Michigan. Maybe the kids will be a little bit detached. College football there's a lot of college football stories going on, and nobody appreciates this Sherrone Moore story better than University of Michigan's very close rival, the University of Notre Dame. They really appreciate Michigan shitting the bed like this because it takes them off the front page. Notre Dame isn't necessarily the one that everybody's talking about right now in this downtime of college football before the bowl games start in earnest. That was, my formative years of watching college football. That rivalry, Michigan versus Notre Dame, was just so incredible because you have to understand they're very close to each other. They are not far from each other at all. And they are both, as I said earlier, there's probably only about 10 programs that are really the elite level programs in college football. Notre Dame and Michigan are two of them right there. And if you count Ohio State, that's 3 from that region. But that's about it. That's about it from that region. Sorry, Wisconsin. Sorry, Purdue. You're just not there. You're not the elite programs like University of Michigan, Ohio State University, and Notre Dame. But yeah, Notre Dame and Michigan, that's how I cut my teeth on college football. Every year, one year it was at the Big House. The next year it was in South Bend. That was some good football. And then they stopped the rivalry like 10 years ago now, I think. Everybody was pissed. Everybody's like, what the fuck? Why'd you stop the rivalry? Again, having to do with Notre Dame's non-conference affiliation and their exclusive deal with NBC Peacock. All right. Anyway, but yeah, Notre Dame. We Notre Dame fans are thanking Michigan for shitting the bed. Our old rival helping us out here, getting us off the front page. Let's see. Adam says on that note, the big news story today is some schools say they may not okay Notre Dame next season since they're getting preferential treatment in the CFP. There's no team that is going to not play Notre Dame. Schools make money playing Notre Dame. Schools get a piece, especially if it's a Notre Dame game that happens to be on Peacock, because then the visiting school gets a huge chunk of that network TV deal that Notre Dame doesn't have to split with anybody else because they're not in a conference. They get to cash that entire thing. No, Notre Dame is not afraid of any of this nonsense. You go, we're going to push back. Fuck you, college football. You need Notre Dame. And you know why you need Notre Dame? Okay, let me give you some hard truths. Some hard truths that need to be said about Notre Dame. You people hate Notre Dame because they think they're special. That's a fact. You're like, what do they think they're special for? Well, here's the thing. They are fucking special. They are unlike any other major football program in America. Notre Dame doesn't rely on a regional alumni base or a local television deal or for people who grew up 20 miles from it just being a fan like every other college in America. That is what schools like Texas Tech have to deal with, not Notre Dame. Notre Dame has something. I mentioned it earlier, and I used it in the
It's probably better that Rant wasn't heard. Yeah, how long was that? See, you guys got to be more active in the chat room. If somebody right away had said that, I'd have seen it. Instead, I have to get a bunch of fucking chat. Okay, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you heard? Was all of that like from the break? Man, that was good. Oh! So has it been since I went pee? Has it been since then? Apparently it has. And now it's on the computer mic. Oh, guys. Okay, so I understand what happened. Apparently, I'll fix it. I'll fix the computer mic situation. Thank you, April, for letting me know that, because there is no way for me to know that without somebody telling me. There was some kind of a surge
or something that caused my my board to completely go down for a split second, like the blink of an eye. That's when the camera switched. Remember when the camera switched? And I couldn't explain why. Well, that's humiliating. I don't like this at all. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Thank you. Why Notre Dame is better than others. All right. There you go. I can do it again. All right, forgive me if I repeat myself, because I am quite literally going to try and repeat myself. People hate Notre Dame because Notre Dame thinks they're special. And Notre Dame thinks they're special because Notre Dame is fucking special. Because unlike every other university or every other college football program in America, Notre Dame doesn't give a shit about regional affiliations or, in-state recruits or, appealing to the people who are in that region who are looking for something to root for. That is not how Notre Dame has fan bases. Okay. Notre Dame's fan base is something that I referenced with Michigan. Subway alumni. Shouldn't have referenced it with Michigan because it doesn't apply to Michigan. It's a term exclusively used to describe Notre Dame's outsized popularity from coast to coast. It's a Subway alumni. Nobody who roots for Notre Dame went to fucking Notre Dame. Are you kidding me? You know how smart you got to be? And if you're not smart, you got to be rich. And if you're not smart and you're not rich, you better have a really good 40 time. Nobody, the actual real Notre Dame alumni base is tiny. It is a tiny Midwestern private school, Catholic school. Now, why is it special? And why does it not rely on the typical fan bases that other universities use? Right? You're born in Texas. I mean, maybe you're given a choice, I suppose, depending on where you are. But just arbitrarily, you're born in Texas, you're a Horns fan. Hook 'em. Or maybe you're a little bit of an A&M fan. Maybe you like the Aggies too because mom or something. I don't know. But, you are that fan because that team represents your state, something that you identify with. I root for the University of Texas teams no matter what. If it's Texas A&M taking on North Carolina, I'm Texas A&M. If it's Texas Tech taking on Louisiana State, I'm Texas Tech because it's Texas and I'm a Texan and that's the appeal. Same thing, except Ireland and the Irish immigrant and the Catholic class of Irish immigrant had nothing, especially back in the early days, the burgeoning days of college football, the 1910s. They had nothing. They were one of the most oppressed classes in this country, the dirty, shanty Irish Catholic immigrant. So when Notre Dame University was started, it was started as a university to try and help people from that class, that ethnic background, that group of people, dirty, shanty Irish Catholics. It was designed to help them, a university to help them to get them to the next level. Maybe one day produce a president, John F. Kennedy. See what I mean? The Irish Catholics were garbage when Notre Dame first started to play football. And because of this, nobody wanted to play with them. Now, the obvious place for Notre Dame, if you look at the way college conferences are split up, the obvious place for Notre Dame is the Big Ten. It's where they belong. Jesus, they're like within 50 miles of 4 Big Ten schools. I mean, they're right in the middle of everything. But the Big Ten didn't want to play with the shanty, dirty, lying Irish Catholics. So Notre Dame had to go independent. Around about this time, they got a new head coach, former player who stepped up to the position of head coach. His name was Knute Rockne. And Knute Rockne said, you know what? We're going to play games. We're going to play any of these teams that won't play us. Screw them. Screw Illinois. Screw Michigan. Screw Purdue. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take on the service academies. And by the way, back in 1915, 1920, taking on the United States Army in football or taking on the United States Navy in football was a big undertaking. And I know today we dismiss the service academies, but back then, Navy was great at football. Army was great at football. Also great at football, the University of Chicago. That's right. Amos Alonzo Stagg, one of the winningest coaches in college football history. He coached at the University of Chicago. Anyway, point is this, those things changed. But at this time, when nobody would play Notre Dame, again, because they were dirty, filthy, lying Irish Catholic scum, the service academies, who were really good, said, we'll play you, little guy. We'll play you. Right? And it was a big step down in class because nobody thought that Notre Dame could hang with Army or Navy, but Knute Rockne had another trick up his sleeve. See, Knute Rockne understood that the home and away schedule that they used to do, I think they still do it now, but I think the money is more, I think they negotiate more based on money. But they would play Army 1 year at West Point, and then the next year, Army would come to South Bend and play Notre Dame. Well, when it was Army's turn to come to South Bend, Knute Rockne said, nah, fam, don't come to South Bend. We'll play you a home game. And I'll tell you what, we'll give up our home game in South Bend and we will play you in New York fucking City at the Polo Grounds. It'll just be like an hour trip for you guys. We'll get on trains and we'll go halfway across the country to play you guys in the same fucking state you exist. We'll call it a home game. Why did Notre Dame do this? Why did Knute Rockne start booking matches against Boston College? Why did he start booking games, not with the reasonable teams, Purdue, Indiana, Ohio State? No, he went out west. He took on USC. Why? Irish Catholics. Because he understood that Notre Dame was special, that you didn't have to be born in the state of Indiana to be like, I like Notre Dame because Indiana. No, all you had to do in this country is be born Irish Catholic. And if you were born Irish Catholic in Oregon, I promise you, your parents got you to be a Notre Dame fan. If you were born Irish Catholic in Florida, you're a Notre Dame fan. And that is why Rockne did those games that way. That's why he took Notre Dame national. So from the very beginning, the plan was, we're not going to exist like other universities. We're not going to play to an alumni base that's in state or within driving distance. No, we represent something more to people. We are fucking special when compared to what other universities do. Now, how is this an argument for them not being in the tournament? Well, I'll tell you. If everything is driven by money, this is a money mistake because Notre Dame is one of the teams that can draw big ratings. Why? Because there's going to be a sizable amount of people in the Los Angeles metro area who want to watch Notre Dame because, again, Irish Catholic. Going to be the same thing in New York City because, again, Irish Catholic. Chicago, Philadelphia, any of the big population centers will always turn in a giant number for Notre Dame for no other reason than there are Irish Catholic cultural. It's Irish Catholic culture. So yeah, go ahead. I mean, don't invite them in. That's fine. But why do they get special treatment? They get special treatment because it's just different. It's a completely different kind of thing. Now I'm tired. And I got to go into the whole Andy Dick thing. I wasn't supposed to go into the Notre Dame thing. I didn't want to go into the Notre Dame thing. But you know what? God damn it. They are special. So stop it. And it really irritates the haters because they're like, yeah, I know we're special. We get movies made about us. We get movies made about us because our legends, because the legends of our program go national. Because the legends of our program are told around Irish Catholic dinner tables in California and in Texas and all of that. Your fucking Alabama legends get told in maybe Montgomery and Dothan. All right? Hollywood doesn't come calling for that. So that's why you have endless movies in the 1950s. Every sports movie in the 1950s that concerned college football, Notre Dame had a presence in if it wasn't the main thing. The most famous, of course, is Knute Rockne All-American. Who was the star of Knute Rockne All-American? Well, none other than the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. Played the Gipper. Win one for the Gipper. Play like a champion today. Touchdown Jesus. These are all things that if you, a non-Notre Dame fan, have heard of before, that proves my case, okay? Because I don't know what the fuck the lingo they're doing down there at A&M, because nobody outside of Texas gives a fuck. Unlike the special case that befalls the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who have a Subway alumni. All right, there we go. I did that twice, and I think the first time was better, and now we're all the lesser for it. All right, let's talk about Andy Dick. I wanted to get into this story, Andy Dick. Andy Dick went and did a thing. And you guys, is Andy Dick even famous? I don't even know anymore, man. Oh, hold on a second. I got to do something with this Zoom. Hold on. I got to do a different camera. All right, no, not that one. Sorry, guys. No. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. That was my bad. So I don't even know if Andy Dick is famous or not. Andy Dick is a very funny guy. He was a comedian in the early 1990s, and there was a period of time where it looked like he might be around for a while. He had Robin Williams energy. He was very, chaos driven by everything. He was very funny. I first noticed Andy Dick when he was at the Improv Olympic in Chicago. Improv Olympic is sort of the, I would call it the Pepsi to the Second City's Coke. Everything's got a Coke and a Pepsi. If you know what the Second City is a training ground for comedic actors and actresses, and a whole bunch of famous people have come out of there. And then there is sort of another one that's right around the corner that was started years ago by people who came from Second City, and that's called Improv Olympic. That's run by Sherrone Halpern, made famous by a guy named Del Close. Google all these names. Enjoy. But there were a number of people who came through Improv Olympic as well. And that is where Andy Dick came from. And when I was working at the Loop 97.9 in Chicago as a young producer, I was dispatched many times to just go and check out local talent. Go see who's good, who's funny. Does anybody want to do a character? Does anybody want to be a caller and do that? That's how we were thinking. That's how we got early on in the mid-90s, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey calling into the Kevin Matthews show as callers, as funny girl callers. Anyway, so I got to know Andy Dick a little bit like that because he was really good. I mean, he was like breaking out. And this is exactly the same time that, your Amy Poehlers and your Tina Feys are also in that scene. Completely not famous yet, just chicks who do, just theater chicks who do comedy. It was a cool scene. It was, now because so many of them became famous, it's fun memories. Anyway. So Andy Dick was somebody that Sherrone Halpern, who is the guru to all of these young comedic stars, Sherrone thought he was great. Like she was really an Andy Dick supporter, and everybody in town at the time was like, he's great. And then before we blink our eyes, he's been swooped up and he moved out to LA, and he's now on this new Fox show called The Ben Stiller Show. Yeah, by somebody that nobody had ever heard of by the name of Ben Stiller. Now I knew that Ben Stiller had taken a number of these Chicago improv, that this Fox show, this new sketch comedy show that was debuting on the new Fox network, I knew that they had come in and they had sort of pilfered some Chicago talent. Bob Odenkirk. Who else from the improv scene here? Well, Andy Dick. Anyway, I don't remember. But there were a number of unknown Chicago improv actors at the time who got snatched, and all of a sudden were going out to be a part of this thing called the Ben Stiller Show. Who's Ben Stiller? I don't know. He's the child of Stiller and Mara. I know that, but I don't know what he's done. That was sort of the thing when Fox put the Ben Stiller Show on. The Ben Stiller Show only ran for about 10 episodes. I think it was only on for 1 year. Ben Stiller Show is one of the funniest shows that's ever been on American TV. If you have opportunity to go to YouTube and watch old clips from the Ben Stiller Show, it's fucking hysterical. It's all pre-produced sketches, comedy. And the people, the cast is unbelievable. Like I said, it's Ben Stiller. Oh, gee, did he go on to do anything? Yeah, he was terrific too in that show. First time I saw Ben Stiller doing Ben Stiller things on the Ben Stiller Show, I was like, that motherfucker is super talented. That dude is going to be something. But also noticed a guy named Bob Odenkirk. A couple years later would go and pair with David Cross and create Mr. Show, another one of the funniest shows ever produced on American television. Janine Garofalo. But Andy Dick Andy Dick was the one that kind of really popped off the screen. He did the over-the-top characters, and man, shit was looking really good for Andy Dick. And then all of a sudden, Fox drops the axe on the Ben Stiller show, and that's not a thing anymore. But that's okay, because NBC's got a new show called News Radio. And Andy Dick got a job on News Radio, which was a, middling performing situation comedy of the mid-90s that ran for a number of years because it was a middling performing show. It wasn't Seinfeld or Friends, but it also wasn't, Veronica's Closet or, Suddenly Susan or, any of these other shows that just never really got traction with ratings. No, News Radio was on for a number of years, made stars of Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman, when he was murdered, was still starring on NBC Network's News Radio, and so was Andy Dick. So Andy Dick kind of had a career going where it was like, all right. And around the time that he was starting on News Radio, I was working at the Loop for Kevin Matthews. I think we might have even been doing mornings at this time. I don't know. We did mornings and then we went back to middays where he always had been. Anyway, we were bouncing around, and Andy Dick, who had just gotten News Radio. News Radio was, and by the way, News Radio is a fantastic sitcom. When I say a middling sitcom, I'm talking about the way it was received in the ratings. I'm not talking about the actual show. The actual show of News Radio is brilliant. It's an absolutely incredible show. So just go watch one episode and you're like, oh my God, that's where this guy came from. I mean, there's a number of people like Stephen Root, who has been amazing in everything, started as Jimmy James in News Radio. He was hysterical from the get-go. And I'm like, that guy is funny. And now he's Stephen Root. Joe Rogan. Oh, we're not even going to mention Joe Rogan. It's where Joe Rogan came from. Before Fear Factor, Joe Rogan played Joe, the station engineer on News Radio. So News Radio was a great show. So it was when Andy Dick had made the jump to News Radio and they were doing a publicity tour for it. And as a producer of the Kevin Matthews show, I get these calls from people like Sharna Halpern from Prov Olympic, and she's handling the Andy Dick press. And, hey, Andy loves Kevin and, he thinks he's brilliant and Andy would love to come on the show and be a part of it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, shit, yeah. Because remember, I'm a fan of the Ben Stiller show and I'm a fan of Andy Dick. I think he's very funny. Like, yeah, I'd love to meet him. Love to get him in here. Have him, goof around with us. Okay, so we booked the show. Andy Dick's supposed to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning and at 7:30, which is the time when he should arrive for something like that, for a little pre-interview in the green room, maybe a cup of coffee, relax, get his head right. You want to give yourself a little bit of time before you got to flip that switch and be on for the radio audience. So, you expect him around 7:30, and at 7:30, his people showed up. He had people, and Sharna was one of his people. And they're like, Andy's on his way, and he's going to be right here. And we're like, okay. So we're sitting in the green room, and we're waiting, and now it's 7:45. We got 15 minutes until he's supposed to be on after the 8 o'clock news. And still no Andy, and no Andy, and no Andy. And then finally, at 5 minutes to 8, 5 minutes to go, Andy shows up at the radio station. Okay, he gets brought back by the receptionist. Apparently, he got off the elevator. We walked in through reception, and the receptionist brought him back to us, who were in the green room. Now, we got no time to prep him for this. But that's okay because he knows who Kevin Matthews is, and he gets the show, and so it's going to be fine. Andy Dick was so fucked up when he showed up. It was unbelievable. He had been out all night. He was dirty. He smelled. He had shit on his clothes. He was an absolute train wreck and 100% ready to go on the radio and be crazy for Chicago. So I had to go in and I had to go tell my host. I'm like, hey, situation with Andy. He's here. He's ready to go on. And he's really fucked up. To which my genius of a host looked at me and goes, well, get him in here. Get him in. He's fucked up and he still wants to do it. Let's get him in. So I walk back down to the green room and his people are now gathering everything up and they are on the move. And I'm running down to the green room and I'm going, wait, where are you going? We're fine with this. It's not a problem for us if Andy doesn't want to go on the radio or if Andy wants to come on the radio completely fucked up. Totally not a problem for us. And it was obvious. It was a problem for them. It was a problem for the people that were going to be, continuing to promote his new show, News Radio, and all that stuff. So they stole him away, and I chased him down. And Sharna turned and she said, "Look," she goes, do me this favor. I'm terribly sorry. We'll book them tomorrow and I'll make it up to you. You know, because she had access to everybody. She had access to everybody, not just, you know, people who are big stars now, but like back then she could land us Farley if we wanted Farley. She's like, I'll tell Chris to stop by. You know, she could say those kinds of things. So I was like, Sherrone, don't worry about it. All right, whatever. So I go back to my host and I'm like, he left. And then I get in trouble. What'd you let him leave for? I go, because I wasn't going to fight a drunk Andy Dick and drag his drunk ass. And, you know, it was just, I couldn't win. I was looking at the long game. I'm like, okay, it's better to maintain a good relationship with Shauna Halpern in this time. It's better to retain that and make sure she's happy. She's the important one, not Andy. He's coming back tomorrow. He's going to be sober. So the next day, we book him. We're like, yeah, and he can't make it today. He's going to be on tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Next day comes and it's 8:00 and Andy isn't there and he doesn't show up. So we go forward with, you know, the no Andy interview. We're like, yeah, he didn't show up. Yesterday he was here, but then he left. And now today he shows up, or he didn't show up at all. So what I get next on the hotline in the studio, the producer's booth, there's a hotline. That's the number that celebrities get when they want to call on. And it's Andy. It is Andy, and he is drunk, right? He's this whole thing. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, the Loop or whatever. I don't remember what we used to say. Actually, we didn't say the Loop. We didn't answer the hotline saying the name of the station, because what if it was just somebody who'd figured out the hotline number? Then they would have confirmation that it was the station. So we just went, hello. So I picked it up and I go, hello. And the voice on the line goes, hey, who's this? And I go, excuse me? I go, you called me. I go, who's this? And he's like, this is Andy Dick, motherfucker. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Andy, you're supposed to be in studio. Hey, motherfucker, don't tell me where I'm supposed to be. This is on the phone, right? And at this point, Kevin Matthews, the host, is looking at me in the glass and he goes, you know, he's having a conversation with the other people that are in studio. And he's like, what's Pugs doing? Pugs arguing with somebody? And so he clicks the mic so that you can hear what's going on inside the studio or inside my room, right? And so you hear me in the producer's booth going, look, dude, you were supposed to be here. You're not here. And then so the bit becomes on the radio. Pugs is talking to Andy Dick. I really was, but it's Pugs is talking to Andy Dick and he's trying to convince him to come on the radio. So my host starts saying, just put him on. Come on. Put him on. Just put him on. And I'm like, Andy, hold on. And I just put him on hold and I went like this with my hands. I'm like, go ahead, take him. So Kevin engages with Andy Dick, and Andy Dick is in full on motherfucker. He's like ranting. So Kevin immediately puts it on hold. A whole bunch of F-bombs got through. I mean, it was slurred. And Kevin looks at me like I did the bad thing, you know, because I'm the producer. He's like, what are you letting him through for? To which I didn't respond, because, you know, you didn't as a producer respond this way in those days. I didn't respond. But what I would have said was, I put him through because you threatened me that if I didn't put him through, I was fired. So I threw my hands up and put him through. So, okay, so that goes haywire. And then I get a phone call from Sherrone. She's an incredibly powerful woman. And she is now talking to me in a way that is making me think that she is subservient to me, which is absolutely not the case. She is one of the most powerful women in Chicago comedy, and that is not the case. But she's very apologetic, and she's very nice, and she's very this, and she's very that. And I said, look, you know, we're done with Andy. I mean, we can't have him on anymore. And she's like, no, he's really apologetic. He wants to come on. He wants to be on. And she's like, he's right here. Do you want to talk to him? I go, yeah. I go, okay. So, and I'm assuming that this is now going to be sober Andy Dick. And Andy Dick takes the phone and he goes, hey, motherfucker, are you blackballing me from my hometown radio station? Because that's the other thing. He's from Joliet or something. And I'm like, ugh. So I just hung up on him. And we announced the next day on the end. He's banned for life. This son of a bitch. He wasn't talented enough to get us to bend the rules. It's not like the time that a couple members of KISS came in and completely destroyed the bathroom putting on their makeup. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, they for a publicity shoot in our green room. But anyway, he wasn't as big as KISS. We let that slide. So Andy Dick's in the news again because a video went viral yesterday of Andy Dick passed out on the streets of California. He apparently suffered a heroin overdose. Here, I'm going to show it to you. Here's the video. But the problem with Andy Dick is that he has had no hits other than these kinds of self-destructive videos that are theoretically captured by passersby on the street. But there is a part of me that thinks that maybe these are just his awful enabler friends who are videotaping him in his darkest moments and then, achieving some level of viral fame. And when Andy comes to, they probably justify it by saying, Andy, look at all the hits you got. Or because I think Andy is addicted to the disease of celebrity. So when I went looking for a specific Andy Dick viral video from about a year ago or so, just to compare and contrast to the one that I'm about to show you from last night, I couldn't find it. Not because it doesn't exist. I couldn't find the one I was looking for because there are thousands of these videos over the past 20 years of Andy Dick in public desperately needing help. Shut your mouth about Keith Richards. It's fucking Andy Dick who is the human cockroach, because this son of a bitch should have been dead in the 90s. I mean, you remember the story that I'm telling you, the story that I told you, that took place in 1992, 1993. Maybe 1994, I don't know, somewhere in there. Guys, that's 30 years ago. That's over 30 years ago that this guy has been fucking burning the candle. So anyway, here is, let's see here. Let's see. Let me show you this first. We're going to go through a bunch of videos here. We'll watch them and we'll comment on them. But let me show you this first, just because I think this needs to be shown. We're going to see a whole lot of stuff of what Andy Dick has turned into. But I want to give an example of the Andy Dick that I was so pleased to have booked as a guest on our show. A very funny guy. This is from the Ben Stiller show, the show that I told you is one of the funniest things that's ever been on American television. And it stars Andy Dick and Bob Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk, before we knew Bob Odenkirk is Better Call Saul and all that, Bob Odenkirk plays a white gangster rapper named Iceman McGee. Okay, and here's the premise of this sketch. Iceman McGee is a gangster rapper, but in his personal life, he's bought a home. He's a homeowner. He lives in a neighborhood, and Iceman McGee gets into an argument, an ongoing problem with his neighbor, played by a gentleman, but played by Andy Dick. The character is Doug Shatsky. So Iceman McGee puts out his new album, and it's all about his fucked up neighbor and how everybody should kill his neighbor, Doug Shatsky. It's called Kill Doug Shatsky. Again, it stars Bob Odenkirk and a very funny Andy Dick. This is from the Ben Stiller show. Here, we'll watch this. Hold on. Kill Doug Shatsky. Where is it? Is that Kill Doug Shatsky? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Hold on. Boy, this show's going to be great when we can afford a producer to have all this stuff queued up before, right? Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to happen. All right, here we go. This is from the Ben Stiller show. This is an example of Andy Dick being very funny. Again, it's Andy Dick as Doug Shatsky and Bob Odenkirk as Iceman McGee. I think it's Iceman, or is it Iceberg? Oh, and also Janine Garofalo playing Tabitha Soren, for you Gen Xers out there who remember who Tabitha Soren is from MTV News.
Taylor's Music News with Tabitha Soren.
This is a special music video update. The censorship battle over rap star Iceman McGee's latest release is heating up. A Los Angeles man by the name of Doug Shatsky is protesting Iceman's new hit single, Kill Doug Shatsky. Mr. Shatsky, who happens to be Iceman McGee's neighbor, claims the lyrics are disturbing and potentially dangerous and called for a nationwide boycott of the album. We have received a special advanced copy of the video. You decide.
That's right, I said kill Doug Shatsky. He makes me mad, G, frontin' on my posse, telling me to keep it down and all that. Just a sucker, stepping on my Bozak. Just a stupid neighbor complaining. Keep it up, I call the Black Association, the one that meets at the end of my fist. Huh, little doggies, gonna get kissed. Cutting on my lawn and scattering his clippings. You think I don't know where my yard begins? You left the sprinkler Shafke. Peace.
Mr. Shafke granted us an exclusive interview at his home in Los Angeles.
What did I do? I know he has a right to say anything, but I'm gonna get killed here. I gotta move. This is not a good place for me to be right now. You should get out of here too. Leave me alone.
Iceman McGee held a press conference to respond to the charges.
It's like I'm saying, it's just censorship, straight up. I would like to make it clear that when I said kill Doug Shafke, I was using street terminology to describe a situation from my life. When you misinterpret my words, all y'all diss me, you diss my fans, and you diss the United States Constitution. And that's a real crime. Peace, we out of here.
McGee's record company has agreed to release the album with the following warning label. Warning, manufacturer does not condone the killing or in any way harming of Doug Shafke, but instead wishes Doug a long, healthy, and fulfilling life. This has been a music video update brought to you by Yummy Gummy Auto Parts, the auto part-shaped chewy candy with a burst of real fruit juice.
All right, there you go. That's from the great and underappreciated Ben Stiller show. That's Andy Dick in Better Moments. Adam, by the way, Adam Rain in the chat room says, did you see the Ben Stiller doc about his parents? Yeah, he said, Adam's like, so good. It is good. It's really good. Ben Stiller's parents were a very successful club comedy act. It's it's harder to explain, like their sort of lane in Hollywood. You know what a Stiller and Mara were. They were kind of like a poor man's Nichols and May. Nichols and May, of course, being the sort of A-list of like that kind of thing. But they were very successful, and throughout the 70s, you grew up knowing who Annie Mara was, especially if you watched Archie. If you watched All in the Family, and what was the spinoff, right? Archie Bunker's Place. Ben Stiller's mom was Annie, the bartender, Annie Mara. In game shows, I mean, you couldn't watch like Match Game in the 1970s without Stiller and Mara being involved. Anyway, it was a very good documentary. His parents are both dead now, and Ben Stiller went through his family or his parents' sort of Hollywood career and their treasure trove of artifacts and all of that. And it's great. It's a really great documentary about getting to know your parents. You don't have to be interested in Ben Stiller or whatever, but you can use that documentary. You can use that as a conduit to do a little, little investigating. It's cool. It's like what you find out about your parents that you didn't know after they died and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's really good. So yeah, good suggestion, Adam. Good suggestion. So now let's talk about Andy Dick of today. Here you go. This is the latest Andy Dick. Let me make sure we got it because there was so much. I was going to show you some of them. All right, yeah, this is from TMZ. This is Andy Dick. I call this, let's just say it was last night, or at least very, very recently. Again, this comes to us from TMZ, and also, it's so beautifully shot. Like it's the framing is perfect, and everything that you need to see, you can see. I don't know who the guy is that we're seeing the camera angle. The guy whose camera we're watching is talking to Andy, and it sounds like they're friendly, but he also might be one of these enablers who. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It is sad when you consider that Andy Dick was a funny guy. Again, I have a personal issue with him. He was a complete asshole to me, but he's also obviously an addict. And here you go. This is from, I want to say last night.
Is he okay? Andy, are you okay, buddy? Is he okay? Hey. Andy. Andy, buddy. Hey, Andy, wake up. What the dude?
I want to call the ambulance.
Call an ambulance right now.
Let me see his nose. Hey, let me see his nose. Stop shaking. Give me a Narcan. Right here. Get his head up.
Can I just say, did he just turn back and look to the camera? Like he's making sure that the camera is getting this? Did you see that? That's troubling. Let's see if he does it again. The guy, he looks back to make sure he's not blocking the camera or whatever. I don't know. It's just... people at the level of fame of Andy Dick probably have a lot of really dirtbag enablers that are around them, like super dirtbags, like ex-cons and drug dealers and stuff like that, because there might be a little bit of cachet of still hanging out with a guy like Andy Dick. You know, well, I'm friends with Andy Dick. He's famous. You must think I'm cooler now. You know, whatever it is. I don't know. But let's see. Does he look back?
Hey.
Look at that. Yeah, he sure fucking does.
Give me a Narcan. Right here. Get it set up. You need to set up.
Yo, wake him up right now. Wake him up.
Well, there you have it. That's Andy Dick, his apparent overdose, his apparent heroin overdose from either last night or like a couple of nights ago. I don't know what it was, but it's recent. That's recent Andy Dick. He also he responded to that. Here, let me see if I can find that. He responded to that. This was, I think, this morning on TMZ. Yeah, okay, so here we go. This is today from TMZ. They posted this. Andy Dick responding to the video that we just saw. He survived. He didn't die. That's not the story. He survived, and apparently now he's talking about that video that we just saw. Here it is. Let's watch.
No professional help?
When you say professional, should I call Dr. Drew again?
And whoever can help, do you plan on seeking help?
Do I need help? Do we all need help? Do you need help?
Do you think that you're in a good place right now?
Love it.
Okay.
I'm surrounded by my two friends who they won't, you know, it'll be hard for me to escape from them.
Yeah, and we love Andy.
But I will escape.
But we can't always look out for him. So he has so many friends in this world. So we're just kind of asking for everyone that he knows to look out for him and check up on him because, you know, he goes through hard times too, and we all love him. I'm going to be a little more strict on him though, because I love him and I love people coming up to him. And I don't like to say anything or get into his bubble when his fans are coming up. But if we're together, I'm just going to be a little more strict and just be like, hey, you know, who are you? What the heck's going on? Don't give him anything. Because I didn't feel like I would have to put myself out there like that, but now I know I do. So.
Any plans on getting him in rehab?
We've both brought him to rehab so many times, and I think we would love to see him in rehab.
That's all we want.
But you don't want to be in rehab.
No, I'm not going to be in rehab.
Okay.
All right, well, there you have it. He is a grown-ass man, and he is a free American, and he is not going to fucking rehab. All right, so obviously, you know, that's a guy, I would say he's probably going to be dead soon, but that should have been the case in 1994 when he was partying with Chris Farley, who didn't make it. Yeah, that's the other. He and Chris Farley were very close. They were buddies. They were running around Chicago with whores and cocaine, and Farley didn't make it. Andy Dick did. All right, here's another video. You know, I said that we were going to watch some videos. This is from last February. This is a video of Andy Dick out on the town last February. Here we go. All right, let's watch this.
Where's Lucas?
Where's Lucas? Where's Lucas? He's at the boat, I'm sure.
Where? Are we going there?
Man, he broke my skull. He broke my skull. Bad. Honey. That's not good.
Here.
You gotta take me to the
Let's go, bro. You're not broken. Come on.
No, you gotta take me to the hospital.
But you gotta get on the bird if you want to ride. Let's go.
You got to get on the bird if you want to ride. What is that, drug speak?
Go. Come on, dude. You almost had it. I don't know what just happened. Are you bleeding? You're not even bleeding.
I broke my
You're barely
skull.
bleeding on the nose, barely.
I broke my skull. Wait, no, I didn't. I broke my glasses.
No, the glasses aren't broken. They're good. Just barely. Just got a feather on it. They might be chipped.
Last time I hit him.
No, that's.
See, this is alcohol. He might be dabbling with some other things, but and even in my experience, like back in 93, 94, whenever it was alcohol. It was obviously that he was shit-faced drunk. This is shit-faced drunk. This isn't in the throes of a heroin addiction. We saw that in the most recent one. We saw that's what somebody who's on heroin is about. Someone who's on heroin isn't going, I hit my head. Somebody on heroin is going, I mean, it's a totally different kind of thing. He's not high. This is not what somebody who's exorbitantly high looks like. Stupid. It's not cocaine. Cocaine, you're articulate. Cocaine. Look, I think that I may have fractured the right lower mandible in my jaw. That's cocaine. You can't shut up about it. You just go on and on and on. Now, this is alcohol. His problem is America's number one family thief. Alcoholism.
It's the feather. Can I have my glass? How? You poking my head, dude.
All right. Nice friend. He's got a nice friend there that's making sure that all of these humiliating moments get uploaded for our pleasure. Here's another one. Hold on. We got a couple more. We'll watch a couple more of these. How about this one? How about him just this? Oh, let's go back to 2010. So I gave you one from 94. We saw one from last night. We saw one from earlier in the year. And now this one is going all the way back to the year 2010. Here it is. Andy Dick, just out on the streets of LA 15 years ago. We would have seen this and we thought that guy's going to be dead in weeks. Nope. 15 years later, he's still doing it.
What? They didn't let you in because you're wasted, Andy? Is that what the deal is?
Oh, God. Please no.
Hey.
Please no.
Andy, are you okay?
I'm always.
Whoa. Andy, what's wrong with you, Andy?
What's wrong?
Watch out before you hit your camera, dude. I'm serious. See? Get it! See? Got it! He's not gonna let go!
He got it.
I have got to believe that this guy gets shit-faced every fucking day since at least 1994. I mean, this drunk, I have never in my life been this drunk. And this is probably normal for him. Now, look, I know that there's some people that get drunk and they get passed out. I've never gotten drunk and passed out. Quite frankly, I'm a good drunk. Maybe I had a couple of problems in my earlier days, but I'm a good drunk. I'm a lovey drunk. I'm a happy drunk. I'm a funny drunk. I'm not a surly drunk. I don't know what Andy is. Andy's probably a happy drunk too, I think. I just think that he's a happy drunk too much of the time. Let's watch more Andy Dick.
Damn.
Hey, I'll tell you. Hey! What's not cool? That's not good. You guys.
Just shoving him, just people shoving him for shits and giggles. I mean, look, he called me a motherfucker more times than I can actually remember, but he's a human being. And this is obviously somebody who's got a problem, and Hollywood has never given a fuck about this guy. They just let him go out and keep doing this. This is 2010. 15 years at least in videos that we've seen, and I told you a story going all the way back to 1994. So when this guy does eventually die, which will probably be at 105 years old, if he is to die, and I don't think he is because he's a cockroach, but if he is to die in the next year, I better not hear any Hollywood people, so-called friends, because this guy has been very publicly a train wreck for 40 years and nobody has done anything. Ben fucking Stiller is a billionaire in the Hollywood industry. Ben Stiller can't get involved here. Ben Stiller, the guy who brought him from Chicago and put him on Fox and, went from Fox to news radio. Maybe they're not friends, right? This is me projecting what I assume the relationship is. They were on a show together that I enjoyed. They must be friends. Maybe they're not. But nobody in Hollywood is taking care of this guy. This guy's got connected friends. This guy has been around long enough and done enough things that there are people he has associations with who could protect him from this stuff, but nobody is. So he's just out there in the wind, being the fucking joke that he is. Let me spin that notion though on its ear just a little bit, because there is there is an outside chance. I mean, it's a long play, but maybe it was a legitimate problem and he got over it. And maybe this is all now just a bit. Maybe all the shit that we've seen, because YouTube is just filled with these viral videos of Andy being drunk in public. Maybe this is a bit. Maybe this is some Andy Kaufman-esque long play, hardcore improv. Because at his core, that's what Andy Dick is. He's a master improv artist. He's one of the best, they say. One of the best to come through Chicago with all of those names of people who came through Chicago and did improv. They talk about Andy Dick as being one of the tops. It's Belushi and Dick and Carell. Those are the people they mention. Yeah, Steve Carell was supposed to be fucking great at improv. Anyway, maybe this is all a long-form bit. I don't know. There's about a 5% chance, 5% on the outside that's what's going on here. Let's see. One more. We'll do another video. This is Andy. This is from, what year is this? This looks like this is from 5 years ago. Okay, this is Andy Dick on a subway platform. Not the best place for a fucking seriously wasted dude to be. Fall into those tracks, never wake up again. This is Andy Dick hanging out in a subway.
Oh, just relax. I want him for TMZ. Relax. I wish you hooked yourself up more. This shit gonna go viral, cuz.
I'm not gonna put it on the internet. I'm not gonna put it on the internet.
You're abusing an old man.
I'm not gonna put it on the internet. I'm not gonna put it on the internet. I just want to know why you're urinating down here, because you have kids that come down here.
So there he is. He gets confronted for pissing in a subway, and he's completely fucked up. All right, so I did find one last thing that we'll leave here in the story of Andy Dick. Because, you wonder, you say he's got people. He's got people in his life. I mentioned Ben Stiller. Well, what the fuck? What about Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan and Andy Dick were sort of the lessers, the supporting characters in news radio for a bunch of years. Both, if there's ever a special about Phil Hartman, where they talk about Phil Hartman, Andy Dick and Joe Rogan will be all over it, because both Andy Dick and Joe Rogan like to claim that they were Phil Hartman's best friends. So I got to believe that there was some friendship between the two of them back then. So why isn't Joe Rogan, with all of his influence and all of his power, why isn't he bending over backwards to try and save the life of his old friend? I don't know. He maybe already has, right? We don't know. Addicts are awful, man. Just talk to any father who can't speak to his daughter anymore because she's a heroin junkie, right? That's the real evil, is that this is the one thing that not only turns friends to finally walk away from you, but it turns fucking parents to walk away from their kids. So maybe that's what's going on. Anyway, I found an interesting piece of video from the Joe Rogan show. This is Joe Rogan. He's hanging out with Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll, who famously, as a part of his act, does a really funny Andy Dick impression. This is Joe Rogan and Nick Kroll talking about... Here, let me see if I can pull this up. Nope, hold on. There we go. All right, here we go. All right, yeah, okay, so this is interesting. This is Joe Rogan. We know how serious Andy Dick's problem is. This is Joe Rogan and Nick Kroll recently talking about Andy Dick on the Joe Rogan Experience. Here we go. Let's see. And go.
There were no kids on news radio, right? Were there any Lifetime? Were there like act there? No, they were all adults.
Yes, all adults except Andy Dick. Andy Dick's just whatever he is.
Yeah. Have you had him on recently? Where is he? Yeah.
I had him on once. I'm like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ran into him at the Comedy Store the other day. He not the other day. He's banned now.
Is he banned again?
Yeah. He licked Earl Skakel's face. And he's just there's drunk Andy, and when drunk Andy's around, you just got to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference.
It's two different guys.
He's very aggressive.
Yeah.
He gets like bangs in the car window, and you're like, oh no, it's drunk Andy.
Yeah. And sober Andy's a fucking sweetheart.
Wonderful guy.
And so funny, man.
He's a hilarious guy. We did scenes together where we had to do the take 5-6 times because I couldn't stay straight. I kept cracking.
Well, you can't stay straight with Andy.
Yeah.
But he's so funny. But I did a one of my first things I did a voice on American Dad, and they had me do Andy Dick, and I was so psyched to get a gig. You know what I mean? I was like, my favorite thing is not doing other comedians.
Right.
Like, there's some weird kind of code that I don't know what.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I
You
mean?
feel like a dick.
You
Yeah.
feel like a dick. I try not to talk shit about comedians. It's like, I don't know why. It's like, but I did it. It was one of my first gigs. It was like, oh, cool. I got to be on American Dad. I did Andy Dick. It was, looking back, I would not probably do it now where, you know.
Did you do it over the top?
I don't know. I just did Andy Dick. I don't know. I mean, isn't Andy kind of over the top as he, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I did not mean, it was not being like, oh, I'm going to go fucking get Andy Dick. But anyway, when I saw him, since then I've seen him over the years and I like him. And I think when he's sober, he's like, you know, I saw your impression of me. And he's like, and he's kind of like, it's funny, you know? And then I've seen him drunk and he's like, so, you know, it's like a very different version of it. And I'm like, but you know, but I get it, man. If someone did a fucking impression of me on some animated show, I don't know. I'm like, no, I'll do the impression of me. Let me control my narrative here.
I think you got to take your lumps.
I guess so.
If you're dishing them out, you got to take your lumps.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. That's Joe recently. I mean, look, it's not his responsibility, right? It's not Joe Rogan's responsibility to try and take care of Andy Dick. And like I said, I don't know, maybe he has. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, Andy Dick's a complicated guy. Fucking-cated. Goes all the way back to my run-ins with him in 94. All right, there you go. That's the Andy Dick update. He seems to be alive. He's talking to TMZ. And as we saw there, he is not going to go to rehab. He don't need to go to rehab. He says, no. I got stuff to do, guys. I got a lot of stuff to do. So there's a couple of other things that I wanted to do. So we'll just save some of that for tomorrow. We'll get into the P. Diddy and the Jamie Foxx conspiracy theory stuff tomorrow. It's conspiracy stuff. It can wait. It's not like it's not going to be timely tomorrow. I will leave you with this though. I saw this. I thought this was so wonderful. I don't. Do you guys ever watch or listen to the Conan O'Brien podcast? It's just such a terrific listen. He has the best guests on, and it's very informal. And they just, you know, I love sort of these stories and inside and all that stuff. Anyway, it's a very good podcast. Conan O'Brien's podcast. I don't know what it's called. What's it called? Conan O'Brien Lives Here or something. I don't know. Whatever. It's whatever it is. He recently had Will Arnett on. Love Will Arnett. Oh my God. Will Arnett, also a part of one of my other favorite podcasts, which is Smartless. Will Arnett, Sean Hayes, and Bateman. They're great. They're terrific. So Will Arnett went on the Conan O'Brien podcast and they started telling stories. And I just thought this was such a great story. So, you know how, well, I don't know if this is the same thing. Maybe it's a bad metaphor. Okay, so we're just going to move on. Conan O'Brien's father died, right? So Conan, not recently, but a few years back. So when Conan O'Brien's father died, you know, a lot of Conan O'Brien's friends reached out to him as we do as decent people. Don't call. Text is fine. Text. Don't email. Email's not enough. Calling's too much. Sending a text saying, you know, best thoughts and all that. That's the way to go. Why not call? Because they don't want to fucking talk to you. Because their mom just died. Because their dad just died. They don't want to talk to you face to face. They don't want to use the energy that it's going to take to convince you that they're okay. Because they might not be okay. Because that's what mourning is. Right? So send a text. Don't want to bother you with a phone call. Just want to let you know that I love you and we're thinking of you right now. That's it. That's what you do. An email's a little too cold. An email seems like, you know, that's what you get from HR. We here at Global Nut Incorporated are sorry to hear about the passing of your, you know, that's what you get in an email. So just do that with a text. So Conan O'Brien's father dies and his friends start texting him about it and all that. And then shockingly, no, I think it was, maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're going to hear it. But within 2 days of each other, Conan O'Brien's parents both passed. Well, dad died first, and then 2 days later, mom died. Anyway, so this is the story of when Conan's parents died and how Conan's friends, Will Arnett being chief among them, we're not chief among them, but at least for the purposes of this story, he is. Hold on, let me make sure we got this right. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so that's what this is. So I've given you the context so we understand what we're going to be hearing. This is Will Arnett telling a story about the time Conan's parents died, which you would think would not be a story that you'd want to bring up, except I think there's a larger lesson here. So let's go. Here it is. Let me make that. Oh, geez, Louise. Can I make it big? Yeah, I can make it big. Should have just listened on YouTube.
If I may bring up, hilarious. So we're dying. So then, not long after that, if I may bring up a touchy, actual, this is real personal subject for you.
It's okay. I know what it is.
Death in the family.
Yep. My parents passed.
So, well, first, let me just say the timeline because I have it here. I wrote it down last year because the timeline was so good.
Yeah.
And so I hear that your dad passes away, and I text you that day or the next day, and I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry to hear about your dad's passing, sending love from our family to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you wrote, thank you, Will. To be honest, I blame Bateman.
For the death of my father.
The day after his father dies.
Yeah.
Right. So I wrote, it's not a terrible theory. And Conan texted me back, he killed my dad.
Oh my God!
Okay. My dad, can I say, in fairness, my dad would have loved this.
Okay.
Me?
So then Bateman, I tell Bateman this, we're dying, we're doing a thing that day. So the next day, Bateman texts you and he says, Arnett tells me you're on to me.
Yes.
And Conan texts Bateman and he says, Bateman, do yourself a favor, turn yourself in. Right? Right.
Yeah.
2 days after your dad passes, of course, your mom passed away.
Yeah, which I did not see coming.
Which you did not see coming. So I text you 2 days after. I knew you were in Boston. I said, Bateman is asking for your sister's street address.
Yes.
Oh, okay to give.
Yeah.
And you were busy that weekend. Then, like a day and a half later, you texted back. Just seeing this now. Fantastic. 625 Boylston Street, apartment 12C. Tell Bateman to make it look like a robbery.
Oh my God!
You know what's weird? I swear to God, this is how I grieve.
I know.
Everyone has their way, and
I forget who I was with. Somebody at the time was like, it might have been Sean or something. And they were like, "What do you think?" And I go, "This is what he wants.
Yeah,
this is what he wants right now. He wants to laugh and do bits. This is what he wants." And I know the vibe. And obviously, our heart was with you, and we love you, and all that stuff. But I knew that would, and it, honestly, that was tell him to make it look like a robbery.
You're so sick.
I know I'm a sick person, but I do know my parents, who I'm very sentimental about, but they, a big driving force in my life was making them laugh.
Sure.
And I used to think about, am I going to want to do comedy after my parents are gone? Because that was the whole reason I did everything. But I remembered very much wanting to, I don't know, connect. It was so comforting to me to screw around with you guys at that moment. It just was. And so if that makes me a madman, then so be it.
No, I get that, man. It is that old, my grandfather used to say, I mean, it's not that too profound, but he's like, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry. So like they're sort of in that same area, and you're still emoting, you're still feeling, you're kind of doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. There've been so many times, people call it gallows humor or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I get that. And I can't wait till my parents die. No, just because I've got so many bits ready to go.
So many bits. Oh my God. I had.
All right. It's Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend is the podcast. Not that he needs any help with it. I mean, he's fucking Conan O'Brien, and it's back to the gills, and it's got millions of listeners. But I thought that was a great story because of one of the things that I always talk about on this show. A guy who's been through therapy a lot. You learn these tools. And one of the most important tools that I ever learned is that every emotional response that you make public or share with people around you is a choice. It's all a choice. And many of these choices that we end up making in these moments, for instance, your father dies. So you're emotionally completely bubbling over. How that emotion manifests itself publicly is the choice that you make. Do you go into the programmed response that you think you're supposed to do, which is, be very solemn, and when you go to the wake and nobody's allowed to make a joke and all of that kind of stuff. That's one way, that's programmed. Or you can make the choice to process your emotional grief, or in this case specifically mourning. You can make the choice to heal yourself through the thing that has always healed you. And in the case of Conan O'Brien and these guys, it's humor. That's the choice that they made. It didn't mean that he didn't love the people who were passed away. It didn't mean he was being disrespectful to the memory of the people who passed away. It means that that's the way that he decides to handle certain heavy emotional issues. It's all a choice. I thought that was a great example. Because, there are people out there who are just completely programmed. And, if you had sent a text like that to them, you're joking in the days following the passing of a family member, how dare you? You're not really offended. Okay, so the guy tried to reach out to you through humor. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting example of how we all make our own choices on how, not just grieve, but how we present our emotional responses. You could say, oh, it's just I get so mad because it's an instinct. No, it's not an instinct. You're just so comfortable with reacting that way that you do it without thinking. So, we all make our choices. Anyway, I love that, because that is also how I choose to grieve. I don't mourn. I don't get all sad. What I like to do is laugh. What I like to do is make fun of the person who's dead. Not in a bad way, but, in a way that I could tell you, I had some very fun conversations with people, all of us who loved Kelly deeply. And a lot of it was just kind of ripping on Kelly one last time, But like she'd care, like she would love that. That is probably how she would have liked her closest friends who she shared dark emails or dark text messages with and all those kinds of things. So anyway, I thought that was cool. Conan O'Brien needs a friend. They got into some gallows humor, which is, I don't know, it's a long way of saying that I love gallows humor. And there you have it. Yeah, that's sad about his parents. Do you know there's so many like comedians who have these like really sad. So like, do you know the Steve Carell story? Is it Steve Carell or is it Stephen Colbert? Stephen Colbert. I sometimes getting confused because they're both they're friends and they're similar. That ain't similar. Not ain't similar. Steve Carell's got far more talent. I think Steve Carell is one of the great actors, right? Michael Scott from The Office. I mean, that guy's funny. Yeah, no, the actor portraying that character is immensely talented. That's why it's so funny. Steve Carell's a great actor. Stephen Colbert's a talk show host and a writer and maybe a performer, a sketch comedy guy. I don't know. But Steve Carell is certainly, they are very close friends. What was my point? Stephen Colbert's parents, Stephen Colbert comes from this like big giant Catholic family. And they were wealthy. He grew up with a wealthy father who was like a big lawyer or something. I think they lived in Charleston, South Carolina, in a beautiful old plantation type home. Probably, I don't know what I'm imagining. But like half of Stephen Colbert's family was wiped out in a plane crash. Like a famous plane crash, like one of those big plane crashes from the 1970s. I have to look it up or something. But yeah, imagine that. He was only like 11 or something. And like all of a sudden half of his family isn't coming home. Anyway, brothers and a dad. I think he was left with one parent. I think one parent wasn't on the plane, but man. Anyway, humor and making the emotional choices to deal with dark subject matter in a way that probably doesn't jive with what most people are programmed to do. That comes from personal experience. You process the way you process. A life of tragedy for many leads to a career in comedy. Maybe Adam has more information on this. Adam's in the chat room. He says, Colbert, what is he saying? Colbert, yeah, his dad and like two brothers died. Plane crash. But again, it was like a famous plane crash One that, well, famous plane crashes. If you're a kid like me, when I grew up, plane crashes were big deals. I was fascinated with plane crashes as a kid. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. We will be back tomorrow. Once again, please help the show out if you can. Venmo, Cash App, Talk Radio for normal people every day. My pledge to you is, as long as you support me, I will continue doing this show. I hope you like it enough to make that decision. Tip the show if you can. I love you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow at noonish. And that's it. Just, again, like I always say, just be cool. Make the emotional choice not to be an asshole. And, that'll be a start.